And howdy, folks. Welcome to Adventures in Alberon, or the home of Adventures in Alberon. However, tonight we are not playing our 55th session, but instead travel 10 years back in time and roughly 200 miles to the southeast to delve into the past of Shay, the Zinni monk with a bit of a temper. I'm Joe Treff, your dungeon master for the evening, and Tina will be playing Shay, currently a level 12 human Zinni monk in our campaign, right? Level 12?
Yep.
But tonight, reverting all the way back to level 3 and to the age of 16, which is fantastic. Joining her on a small exercise into the Fey-touched woods known as the Frostline, we will have Matt, who will introduce their character in a little bit. And joining us for the very first time, we have a friend and guest to the show, Ari. And she will introduce her character when that is relevant. So, before we get into this original one-shot, which is going to be a heck of a journey, I have a few announcements to go through. First of all, a huge thank you to Talon's daughter for creating a picture of Nod the Owl. That's on our Instagram. Nod is Heinrich's celestial familiar owl. It's this really great little picture, so thank you so much for that. You can see it on our Instagram. We are at Alberon RPG on that. Also up on our Instagram is now the completed-ish map of Dominion, the continent that Adventures in Alberon is set on. It is a massive map with a tremendous level of detail. There are all matter of little lore hints and references to religion and myths within the 4,000 plus years of Adventures in Alberon. So really, really cool map. There's a high-res scan that is going to be coming as soon as I can finish the compass, and then the world map starts. So that's going to be great. Also, we have channel rewards. So for all the points that you accumulate as you're watching Adventures in Alberon, there's a variety of things that you can use. The points can be redeemed for everything from highlighting a message on Twitch to casting Speak with Dead on one character who has died throughout the campaign, as long as it won't mess up the main storyline, at the end of a session. So all kinds of things can be redeemed. And then also, actually the last thing, if you can hear the music in the background, that is from Sirenscape, which is a digital tool set for dungeon masters or players or people who like fantasy sound sets to have an entire slew of effects and music at their disposal. So Sirenscape, check it out. You can get a whole bunch of different packages from free to use, which has a little bit more of a limited set of things, to what we use, which has, I mean, just a staggering number of different sounds and entire landscapes of sound that have been built for you. So check that out. And I think that's the last thing that I have to say. So with that, we can get into this original Adventures in Alberon one-shot that is canonically set to our campaign. Let me switch over our music. All right. The woods loom large and silent and still. Through boughs bent with snow I cannot see. With each step forth my heart is filled, though my eyes know not what's behind the trees. Though I walk through the wood walks through me. No straight line belays this place. Then suddenly silent bark begins to speak. The wind has color, the snow erased. I turn and look with wonder, my eyes behold a line of frost drawn across the ground. Yet I turn and gaze upon a land of old, this Fey-touched place that I have found. Excerpt from the Frostline, an epic by Herlfjnn the Younger. Through a mostly gray morning, the 8 o'clock sun casts a faint glow through the frozen boughs of pines and firs that make up the Frostline. Bits of snow from last night's flurry shift and fall through the gaps and branches above, and so too do the movements of small animals. Lemmings, ermine, thick-furred squirrels scatter for cover as the light brings them into focus, and the snowy owls of the woods make last-ditch attempts at early morning meals before settling in for the day. You traveled here on foot, a journey of 2 days, this morning being the dawn of the third. You carry heavy packs, though those of you hailing from the monastery, which I believe is actually just Shay and one other individual, have now run out of rations. Master Solano, a master in key manipulation techniques that the Zinni are well known for, and the only one to be able to control the flow of ki so fluidly and without effort that he could sever a body from its very spirit. You all saw this mastery to some extent as you traveled through the night. As the snow fell, not a flake seemed to touch Solano. It seemed as if part of it, parts of the snow that entered within an inch of his space, seemed to shift away from him. But arriving at the somber line of trees in the living dark wood before you, he turned and instructed each of you. For those of you not from our order, allow me to explain. The initiates here have just brought enough food to reach this place. The next 3 days are about sufficiency, balance, and an awareness of a place that works hard to catch you unaware. The first trial for these young monks is to obtain a rare blossom that is found on a vine-like plant. Hard to see, these buds, but they only bloom when touched, and upon doing so set forth a cheery heat. He told all of you to find these vines that crested the top branches of the firs and other evergreens that occupy the space. Trees here grow for the most part 2 or 300 feet apart. 2 or 3 feet apart. But here and there, clusters do make it hard to see into far distances. Some of these trees reach 70, 80 feet high. Here and there are taller. These almost white in these little pine needles. For those of you from the area, which I believe is everybody but Ari, you would know these to be grand firs. Shay, as you walk through the pines, your feet crunch lightly in the snow. Each breath produces a puff of vapor in the air. Your eyes drift up 70, 80 feet to the top of these trees. Go ahead and make a perception check. At this point, the three of you have splintered off, each of you looking for these blossoms. So we're going to get to you each in turn, but we're starting with Shay.
That's a 21.
21. So, with a 21, you can see through these little bits of pines, you can see heavy clouds, and they clear for a moment. There's this dull glow that comes through, like a shaft of sunlight, and it creates a silhouette against the tops of the trees. And not 40 feet away, up on one of the larger trees, about 90 feet up, you can see dim, washed-out smudges of red beneath a thin layer of frost that persists despite the late morning sun. These are bloom-bright buds. What do you want to do?
Did Master Solano said he wanted one, or did he just want us to find them?
He wanted you to bring one.
Cool. Climb in the tree.
Okay, go ahead and make an athletics or acrobatics check. Your choice.
Acrobatics.
And do you remember?
That is 23.
Okay. So, with a 23, easy enough, only about 90 feet, you're able to bound and leap. What is your movement speed at level 3, actually?
60 feet.
60, no problem. So with that roll, you make it first, like taking a running start. The snow doesn't seem to slow you in any way, and you're able to clear the first 10 feet on a single jump. You grab one branch, and tightening your hand around it, you use the momentum to shift your body around. And you're not able, at this point in your monk career, to run up this tree. But the movement that you make is as close as you could get. No problem, you make it nearly to the top. As you do, make another perception check for me.
26.
26. So with the 26, you look down, you can see maybe 300 feet away, give or take, you can see another monk. This is the other monk that attended, another initiate, a little bit younger than you, much larger. His name is Roland. He's bald. He joined the monastery and is quite good at the fighting part. He's a nice enough guy. Not real smart. Some of the other exercises a little bit beyond his capabilities, but he tries really hard. You see him actually seems to be gathering from a high point another blossom, and as he touches it, from this distance, you can actually see the blossom, even in his hand, unfurl. This bright red light emerges, similar to the Beauty and the Beast style rose, although this looks a little bit more like a tulip. And with this light, there seems to be a heat because you can see the snow begin to shift and fall in clumps before the monk disappears down into the trees. But that is what you see. I would say at this distance, actually, that was a 23.
That was a 26, I believe.
26. Looking out into the forest, you can see all manner of things. This is a living place. You see small rodents going through the branches. You can see birds here and there. Most of the owls at this point, you can actually see one maybe 50 feet away, curled up into like a little hollow. You see the eyes blink before the head shifts around, and the feathers seem to make it almost bark. But this is not a place that feels dangerous. You've heard tales of this place, and so you're not quite sure what to believe at this point. Let's see here.
Kind of blink
Without
back at
too
the
much-
owl before it turns away.
Make an animal handling check.
17?
17. As you blink, you see the head begin to shift, and then elements of the feathers kind of ruffle up, and it seems to almost develop these ears like these points. The wings flap once, and then the head around. A little bit more interaction, but doesn't seem especially interested in you. Do you want to descend the tree?
Yeah, I'll go back down.
Okay, you begin to make your way down. Matt and Ari, go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
16, without adding anything.
Natural 20.
Natural 20, okay. Matt, we're going to shift over here to you.
Okay.
As you walk through the wood, passing on your right a large boulder covered in snow, little downed log at its base. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Would you consider this Arctic terrain?
I would consider this Arctic terrain.
Wonderful. I have advantage, I believe. That is a 19.
19. So about 100 feet off, across this very thin frozen stream, really like an
sorry.
elongated puddle.
It's a 21 because it's double
20.
my proficiency. That's what I have with
Fair enough.
natural experience.
You hear 113 feet off, across a thin frozen stream of ice, maybe an inch thick, really an elongated puddle more than a stream. A form shifting lightly in the snow. Shay, kind of pulling back to you as you're descending this tree, you take one last look and you can suddenly see, as that monk disappears, another figure emerge, searching through this forest. You would have seen him previously, but Matt, if you could describe your character.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty, like, lithe, almost elfy looking, but with white, pure white hair and very pale skin. And then, like, very icy blue eyes.
Sure. And you can see...
Wearing just, like, simple leathers. Yeah.
Okay, simple leathers. You see this individual...
Also
kind of
very pale.
Looking throughout. The leathers themselves as pale as the skin. And Matt, remind me of your character's name, because this is always the hardest part of one-shots for me.
It's Pericolo Aquilo.
Good, easy.
Yeah. You
So
can call him
Pericolo.
Perry.
I'm going to call him
Perry.
Perry. Yeah, for sure I'm going to call him Perry. Okay, thanks, Perry's parents. Perry. With this perception check, going back to you, you can see, just kind of ducking out of sight, and you see his eyes. He's trying to avoid being seen. Difficult for him as he is about 6'5", tall, peach-skinned, bald-headed. You would know him as a monk initiate Roland, one of the two that accompanied you, the other being Shay. He's not especially smart, but devoted to his training. Shay, you know him a little bit better. You know he's lost a lot of weight over the last year, working at the monastery as he has. He's still susceptible to being teased. But you see him kind of duck down, and with your perception check there, Perry, you can actually see he has two bloom bright bloods in his hand. Even through the closed fingers, it's almost this orange. It's like a cheery fire that seems to almost emerge through the closed fingers.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
And I was there to hear Master Solano.
Yeah, that was before you guys split up.
Okay. I'm gonna turn to my little bird companion, Doppio.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell him to go and get one of those from the doofus in the tree, and we do it.
So could you describe your little bird companion?
Yeah, so it's basically like a little bitty songbird. You know, white with little like orangey cheeky dots and like some light blue, kind of similar color palette to myself.
So you can see these little cheeky dots, as you call them. I like that. These little cheeky dots, the feathers that form them, kind of shift a little bit as you make eye contact with it. What do you want it to do?
I want it to go up and pester the guy in the tree to get one of the blossoms.
Sure.
He
Okay.
needs one.
He's not in a tree. He's kind of behind
Just
one.
teasing him. Just just go tease him a bit.
The bird
He
hops
looks like
twice.
he's easily teasable.
Okay. Bird hops twice on your shoulder and then kind of takes off. Go ahead and make a performance check for your bird using your bird stats to tease this
Okay.
individual.
Pull up these bird
It's a bird,
stats.
remember.
It's a bird. All right, that's pretty fitting for a bird. For performance,
Yeah.
that's a 6.
Okay. Kind of disappears from your vision. Shay, you're just seeing this. You're probably about 50 feet down in the tree. Are you stopping to watch?
Slowing down but not stopping.
Okay. So as you slow down, you see the bird alight or just take off from the shoulder of Perry and disappear to the area that you know Roland to be in. Your bird goes over. You can hear a single call. And then you kind of hear, and you see like this monk's hands kind of come out from the tree and try to shoo it away. It around to the side, lands on a branch, maybe 10 feet up. And you can just hear, stop it. Just tries to wave it away. What are you doing?
I guess I'll call Doppio back and go up myself to this guy behind the tree.
Okay. You begin to cross, and as you walk, not attempting to disguise your footsteps, you can see Roland now lean out and then stand. How tall are you, by the way, Perry?
Like average height, I would say.
Okay,
But
so as he unfurls...
looks taller because he's thin.
Sure. As he kind of uncurls from behind the tree, I mean, he stands up and he is large. You've seen him up close before, but he is a pretty big individual. He holds, in almost paradoxically, incredibly gingerly, these two blossoms in his hand. But he looks over across at you. Have you had any luck?
Taking my time with it. Looks
Oh.
like you've had double the luck, huh?
I've only found one, but I should bring it back to mass.
You're as good as lying as you are at hiding. I'm gonna say that.
I wasn't trying to hide.
Okay.
I was looking for this. Okay. The bird just kind of looks at you and then makes almost a similar sound back. Good. Make an intimidation check. Or what are you trying? What are
I
you
was just
trying?
trying to call back my bird. I'm a
Okay.
weird elfy dude. Weird,
Okay.
far traveler. For technical terms.
Sure. Well, you should get going and try to find one of your own. Master Solano is known to make one of the most amazing stews, and my food
I'm
rations.
gonna glance up and look for one and then send Doppio up to fetch it for me
Make a
while he's
perception
still
check.
talking.
So, yeah, you in your mind, you just kind of drown out the drone of his voice and the bird off into the.
That's a 23.
Okay. Looking up and into the trees, you can see here and there pine cones. You see actually what looks almost impossibly, maybe, I don't know, 50 feet away on a lower hanging branch, ice hanging off of what looks like a beehive, old and withered. Probably this is like a relic from before this place had really frozen over. You see small red berries in a bush, maybe 100 feet away. You see small footprints that would indicate rodents. You do not see any of these blossoms.
Okay.
But if you really don't want, you kind of come back into the end of the sentence. That is okay. Best of luck to you. May you find the path that you look for. And he turns and begins kind of waddling
As he
away.
turns, I'm going to try to snatch one of the berries from him.
One of the
Without him
blossoms?
noticing. Yeah,
Sure.
one of
Make
the
a
blossoms,
make
without
a
him
sleight,
noticing.
make a sleight of hand check to grab it between his hands like this from a monk. That's probably going to work.
100%. Totally.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Go to town.
That is natural 20.
Okay.
Do you need the stat modifier?
No, not for a natural 20.
Okay.
And it's not like you're, he's not trying to fight you at this moment.
Okay.
As he turns away from you, you have the bird already coming back, and it flies across his field of vision. And for a moment, he steps back a little bit startled, and his hands come up to shield himself. And in this moment, quick as can be, quick as a wind, you can just grab this blossom. It disappears from his hand and appears in yours. Nobody could really see you grab it. Shay, even for you at this distance, you don't see this happen. And instantly, in this one moment, it really is just this, oh, and he closes his hands again. You should be more careful with your bird. And he begins
You're
to walk away.
absolutely right.
He makes his way back in the direction that you know Master Solano to be in. Ari, you can add a blossom to your inventory, Matt. Ari,
I'm going to start whistling and heading back.
you count yourself as lucky. You walk through the woods for about 5 minutes, whereas for you, Perry, and for you, Shay, it took you closer to 10, 15. But Ari, you walked for about 5 minutes before looking skyward and saw, draped across a branch no more than 30 feet up, almost looking carefully laid there, is a blossom attached to a long, length of stem, maybe a foot, just draped over the branch. The blossom itself crackles cheerfully and emits this beautiful red color that causes the snow around it on the branch to melt. You can see little bits of ice on the ground below it. What do you want to do?
I've home so much, so I will climb to get it.
Okay. As you approach this tree, what do you look like?
I probably am wearing the least amount of clothing of anyone here. I've got like pants and probably just like a chest bandana. But I am not bothered by the snow. I've got dark skin and red hair. It's a little fiery looking, and I've got kind of accentuated ears.
So in a campaign that has not seen a Genasi, we now have 2, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'm pleasantly surprised.
As you walk up, go ahead and make an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice.
It's going to be acrobatics.
Okay.
Acrobatics. I got a 16 on my die, plus 14 is a dirty 20.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You jump, and it's really, whereas for Shay, it was this beautiful, graceful kind of like using momentum and the shift of technique to get around these branches. For you, there's a lot more grunting. You get up onto one, and yeah, you really are just kind of, you take a dagger out, you sink it into part of the tree, you hoist yourself up. It is not an elegant display, but it is efficient. You climb up, and as you're about to grab this blossom, and you can feel, especially for you, this very inviting warmth emanating from it. From up above, and you hear this almost buzz of wings, there's a foot-tall humanoid. At a glance, kind of like a tiny elf, but a brilliant dress of coral and lilac fabric. You can see pale green skin and eyes with irises of a sunflower yellow. She alights on the branch itself moving, the flower bending with it. You're about 5 feet below it at this point. You can see
I
as...
say dibs.
Huh?
I dibs it. I say dibs.
Okay.
It's
So you say dibs, she grabs for it, you grab for it, her tiny hand and your significantly larger one. You see these equally delicate gloves and these tiny fingers. Go ahead and make this is going to be opposing athletics checks for this.
13.
Okay. She reaches for it. She grabs onto the stem part, and you grab onto the stem right above her hand. It is your pinky and thumb, almost the size of her entire fist, and you just snap the tiny inch of the stem off in her hands and pull it away. It snaps away, and she looks at it and looks at you. You can see her eyes narrow. That wasn't very nice. And she looks at you. Go ahead and make a. This is going to be a wisdom saving throw. And also, Ari, what is your passive perception?
Perception is not something I wrote down.
Okay.
But it's 10 plus 3, so 13.
13. Okay.
And my wisdom saving throw was also 13, 12 plus 1.
Okay. So you are aware at the same time. First, you realize you hear in the background this kind of sound coming from up above, and suddenly, as her eyes narrow and she says that's not very nice, the yellow seems to flare, and you feel this magic begin to go across your body. You feel these little bristly hairs begin to emerge, and looking down, you see just faint bits, black and yellow alternating, but you manage to resist the magic, and they wither and fall away. Polymorph does not work, but she looks at you, her eyes narrow, and she says, I'll find another one. You see suddenly this bee it's about the size of a rabbit. Large, huge bumblebee, these big furry things, the wings comically small, maybe 3 inches long each on the back. It seems as if they're beating like a hummingbird to sustain this thing, but she leaps onto its back and off into the distance, unless there's something that you would like to do.
Well, I want to help her off and kind of flicker her away with my fingers.
Sure. Make an attack roll.
Great. Natural 20, my first one.
Would you like this flick to hit the bee or this pixie?
The bee, because I want her and the pixie to go away.
Roll damage.
For a flick?
Yep.
Oh, actually, what die do I roll for a flick?
It's an unarmed attack, so you're a barbarian, bro.
So is it D6 or D8?
Level 3, I believe it's a D6.
Okay.
What
20 and a 1. I have 1 on my die.
Okay, so that is, what's your strength modifier?
Plus 3.
It's a 4.
So you raise up a hand, and in your eagerness to flick it away, you flick this bee hard. And it might be the size of a rabbit. It doesn't have a whole lot of health. As you flick it, it's about to take off. You hit right on the base of the wings where the wings connect, and the wings shred off. These tiny little wings off.
Oh no, I'm stuck with a pixie.
Goes down. The pixie leaps off, and the bee into the snow. The pixie is now, the wings beating furiously. Go ahead and roll initiative, because you just killed this thing's pet. This is not how I thought this would go. Let me change the music. Shay and Perry, you guys can roll initiative as well. Perry, you are about 70 feet away. Shay, you're about 300 feet away. Not that far for you, actually.
Ooh, that's a 5, unless I get, let me just see. Having new stats in the new class. But yeah, 5.
5, okay. So, hang on one sec. Found my initiative board, which makes me real happy.
Is this a Fey creature?
It is.
Okay, I have. That's my favorite enemy.
Okay, there you go.
Wow, so convenient.
I know, right?
Fey, wow. Why did I not get the hint
It's like
section of this?
One shots.
That P only took 1 shot.
So, anybody
Yeah.
natural 20 for the initiative? Okay. 25 to 20. 20 to 15.
15.
15 for Shay. Okay. Matt, what did you get? You got a 5.
5.
All right, what'd you get?
A 9.
Okay. Overall, actually not that bad. That is going to be Shay. You're up first. Ari, you're on deck. Then it is the Pixie's turn, and then Perry, you're following up. So Shay, you're about 300 feet away. What
Do
are
I
you
have any idea that anything is going on at this point?
Given your sight and kind of what you're seeing on the way down, go ahead and make a perception check just for free, as this is just kind of you in your natural being wary in this place.
26.
You've heard a lot of stories about this place. You know that danger lies around every corner. While it appears to be a beautiful living forest, you're constantly on edge. And so you do hear the sounds of, at first, like a little tiny voice, and then I would say you see off in the distance this little, what looks like a rabbit fall from the tree, but bright yellow and stripes and into the snow. About 300 feet away.
Okay. But that's not enough that I'd be like concerned necessarily, so
What are you
just
doing?
making my way at normal pace.
Okay. 10 rounds. You'll get, oh wait, no, 50 or 60? 50 feet? What was it?
60.
60. Okay. That still won't take you that long, just walking. You're like one of those people in the mall just speed walking around. You're booking it though. Okay, so you begin to walk in that direction. That brings us to Ari. What do you want to do?
Not a punch.
Can't hear.
I will punch the pixie.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. That's a 5 plus 3, 8 to hit.
An 8 that misses, unfortunately. So as you swing one of your fists, this tiny creature zzz, out of the way. She begins to laugh at you.
This escalated very.
It
My
did,
ego
I
is
know.
bruised.
Yeah. Anything else? You want to do anything else?
I want to put the flower in my mouth, so I have 2 hands to like box this pixie.
Okay, free action. You put the flower in your mouth. You bite down on the stem. It is actually a fairly bitter taste, but no problem. You have these 2 fists, and you're ready to box this pixie. Each hand almost the size of her torso. She's a foot tall. But that is your turn. That brings us to the pixie. She can no longer use polymorph, so instead, go ahead and make a charisma saving throw for me.
9.
9. Okay, you see the wings beating rapidly. She gets about a foot closer to you, and you see the hand plunge into the bodice of her dress. She pulls out this glowing powder and into your face. You are now confused. So, just make sure that you have a D10 ready, I believe. And the effect of the spell, essentially on your turn, before you do anything, you are rolling a D10, and that's going to dictate what you do. But we'll get there when we get there. You are confused. As you look up, this powder just hits you in the face. It smells a little bit like talcum powder, but as it kind of gets into your eyes, it begins to form almost like clumps, like when you put flour into water, and it makes it hard to see, it makes it hard to hear, and all of a sudden you can see just shapes and colors, and it makes you mad, but you don't really know what to hit. That is, and then she is going to fly. What is her movement? She is going to, and then fly, Shay, in your direction. Actually, let's make this fair. Yeah, Shay, in your direction, about 60 feet. So all of a sudden, you hear the sound of small wings, just kind of like a rapidly beating hawk, one that is just coming out of a dive.
Mm-hmm.
But that is her turn. Perry, what do you want to do? Shay, you're on deck.
Where is this pixie going now?
From
in
your,
regard to- in
what is your
relation
passive
to-
perception?
My passive's pretty high. I think plus in my favored terrain, which is the Arctic, I
Is
can
it?
track creatures pretty well.
Okay, so I'll say for this, you actually see,
My
you don't
passive is
see
16,
this
though.
bee get flicked to death, but you do see this all of a sudden, these other Genasi that you were traveling with just get down and start boxing this small thing that you can't quite make out. Suddenly you see something happen, and this Genasi shift, no longer angry, more confused, and this little creature away. You don't see through the trees what it is exactly.
I'm just gonna laugh and go towards the Genasi.
Okay. So at 30 feet, you get to within 40 feet. You can now see this Genasi is holding one of these flowers in their mouth, and you can see it looks to be emitting almost like an ember-like fire. You can see elements of the snow that are falling from the trees that are moving around, melting before they touch it. It looks hot. Doesn't seem to bother her. That is your turn?
Yeah, I'm gonna like whistle to Doppio a little. Like, look at this goof. Like, what is?
Turns,
this?
hops once, and then whistles the exact same thing back at you.
He's getting in fights with pixies.
That is your turn. That brings us to Shay. Ari, you're on deck.
This creature is flying straight at me, correct?
I mean, it's weaving, so this thing, you can see it zzz through trees. But yeah, it's maybe about 100 feet away from you at this point.
Okay. Just
120 feet away.
continuing my normal pace, not trying to walk into it, but making my way back toward Master Solano.
Okay, so you're kind of walking a little bit. You can see it. She ends up maybe at our next turn. She's going to end up about 30 feet away from you, or pass within 30 feet. But you're not going to intercept her by any means.
Okay.
Anything else?
Readying a punch if she does come after me, but
Okay, so you're just kind of like ready.
Yeah.
This is like when you see a goose on the side of the road. I
Yeah.
don't know if everybody has Canadian geese where you live, but
Yeah.
they're pretty mean, and you just got to be ready to run. So you tense up, but you continue to go. Ari, roll a d10 for me.
I got a 9.
Okay, so Fizz the Barbarian, as you like look through this yellowish gunk, you shake your head a little bit, and you can take your turn as normal. You still see weird shapes and colors, but you feel pretty confident you know which is which.
At the end of my turn, do I get to try and break
Yeah.
free? All right. I will climb the 30 feet down the tree,
Okay.
which will probably take climbing speed, take my movement.
So do you want to climbing speed take your movement, or do you want to drop down and risk taking damage?
I will climbing speed, take my movement.
Okay, you do climb down. You're angry, but you're also confused, and so you're taking it one step at a time. That's going to take, it's half your movement if you don't have climbing speed. So you can move, I believe, 15 feet. Okay, you begin to climb down the tree.
I will action dash down the tree to the other 15
You make
feet.
it to the base. You scurry down, hand over hand, using the dagger to dig parts in, still with this flower in your mouth. You sheathe the dagger as you get to the bottom.
Pull out nothing, but I will like scan the trees looking for my prey.
Okay, you scan the trees, and there you see suddenly just zip out, and now 60 feet away from you, this pixie. You actually see off in the distance this quiet human monk, Shay, walking. But that is your turn. That would bring us to the pixie. She's going to look at you as she goes by, but otherwise she's just trying to get out of here. Yeah, so you just see Shay and just dart into a tree, up into the pines, and for you even, she disappears. That is her turn. And I'm going to say for all of you now, she's a little too far away for you to catch up to, so I will take you out of combat. But at
That's
this
right.
juncture,
Run away, pixie.
at this juncture, you all find yourselves within 100 feet of each other. Shay, you're kind of walking away from this little group towards where you know Master Solano to be waiting. What are the other two doing, Ari and Matt?
I see that this other Genasi has gotten out of the tree and is no longer confused, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, make your saving throw. It's up for debate.
I got a 2
Okay.
plus 1.
Okay. So a 3 is what those are called. Wait, no, wait, it's not plus anything. It's just a D10.
Oh.
No,
No, my
for the
wisdom
saving
saving throw
throw.
to break 3.
Oh, the
Or does it be a
wisdom saving
D20?
throw. Okay, so yes, still very confused.
Or charisma, either one.
It's
Roll
charisma.
roll a d10 for me, Ari.
4.
So as you kind of look at this Genasi, what are you doing, Matt?
I guess I would notice that she's still pretty confused as she's like coming down from the tree.
Yeah, you look over and you can see all of a sudden, whereas before she's just kind of looking around scanning, the eyes kind of glaze over and just a little bit of drool begins to come across the dark skin.
I'm gonna be like, yoo-hoo! Hey!
And with that,
Over this
without
way!
too much trouble,
And
suddenly,
I'm gonna...
Fizz, you just snap out of it. You can see this other Genasi, a little bird, looking at you, maybe 50 feet away.
Getting in a fight with a pixie?
Well, I
I'm
needed the
gonna turn away.
flower. Oh, I'll take the flower
turning
out.
and walking away.
Yeah, as you say, well, I need it. It just falls into your hand.
That's 2 people who walked away. So I'm gonna run up to Perry,
Perry.
and I will say, do you know why hummingbirds hum?
Is that a riddle, or are you seriously asking me this?
It's more of a rhetorical question because I'm gonna tell you the answer, but the answer is because they don't know the words, and you've got a hummingbird, a bird that whistles,
Opio
which is
isn't
kind.
the hummingbird.
Yeah, as you say hummingbird, you can actually see the bird. Seems to you've
I know, it's
never
so
seen
weird.
eyebrows on a bird, but it seems to almost go down and looks a little angry.
I don't know
real
what she's
cute.
talking about either. I'm gonna turn and walk back towards Master Solano. Be like,
Okay.
well, if you've got your flower, then don't keep him waiting.
And so you all return, each with one of the blossoms that was requested. You would return to find that Master Solano sitting on the stump of a tree, drinking something out of you would know, Shay, it is like a water skin. It looks to be flat and has these beautiful fabrics that have been woven over it, but it is essentially just a canteen. He closes it and looks at each of you as you approach. It takes Roland gets a little lost, and he ends up kind of coming back last out of all of you. But as a group, you convene. So, it seems, and he steps off of this, or stands up from this stump, that each of you has been successful. Wonderful. Please. And he gestures for these blossoms.
Give it to him.
Okay. He takes each. The reason that each of you, and he actually is addressing mostly you and Roland at this point, Shay. The reason that you are asked not to bring rations was because you will need to learn to provide for yourself if you are ever sent out from the monastery. Especially you, Shay. You seem well fitted for the scouts. I would not be surprised if your path leads you away from the monastery more than once. Roland, you might also. For those of you who are not part of our order, these, and he holds these blossoms up, will keep anything they are cooked into, warm for 24 hours. In a place as cold as the north, any source of warmth is to be greatly appreciated. And he pulls out from this small, almost like a messenger bag, this sort of, it's almost like this, like a thermos, I guess, without any better thing to describe it as, but it is hide that has been worked and woven around wood to create what is essentially like a large thermos. Opening it, you can see this very unappetizing looking. You can see oil has risen to the top and bits of fat have dried, so it has this whitish kind of floating bit on the top, but it is like a brown stew. But Master Solano takes this blossom and he crushes it in his hand. The light glow and the glow fades, but as he drops the ruined petals into this, you can see the fat suddenly melts at once into it, and it seems to form these small bubbles on the surface. You see it almost simmers instantly. And he holds this canteen and hands it first, I would say, to you, Shay. Eat of this, and you will be full for the rest of the day. We can take this and reheat it as needed, but for today, we can be full. We have a long walk to these reflecting ponds. Did any of you see anything dangerous while you were out?
Yes. A scary little woman. And a bee.
A scary little... Like, would you be speaking of a pixie?
It was
Yes.
a pixie.
Okay. So, while unusual this far out of the Frostline, or this far closer to our side, I suppose, not dangerous, necessarily. Although strange.
Let's try to kill its bee.
Yeah, a little
Why would you
dangerous.
try to kill its bee?
It was
That's a good
no, it didn't
question,
happen like
Master
that.
Solano.
It was just in my way, that's all.
We are guests in the Frostline. It might be part of the wild, but there are things that make their home here. We should be careful to disrupt it as little as possible. Did you kill this bee?
The pixie, no.
I didn't say pixie.
The bee, accidentally. It was an accident. It was not intentional. Are they all gonna
This is
swarm?
why. He switches to Zenyi,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks at you, Shay, and you, or not you, because you're not here. I'm looking at the corner of my room, also to Roland, and says, in Zenyi, this is why I have always lobbied to end bringing outsiders on the initiates' trials. Please speak to Arrow when we get back. He smiles at the two of you and turns and in common says, so, you may also eat of this, and we can progress on. Let us bury this bee. Show it some respect. Although the pixies are not mighty, they can be quite an irritant if they wish for our progress to be slowed.
I will go fetch the bee body. Bee body.
Bee body. Okay.
Bee body.
You walk off into the woods and what's your nature score?
2.
Okay.
2.
Make a nature check.
16.
You begin to walk back towards the bee, and you look down at the ground. There's elements of snow and bits of pine needles that have fallen and are strewn across. You have trouble finding your footprints, and there's a section where you find them almost displaced from where they should be. You don't see where they continue or where they began, and it does take you about 15 minutes to locate this bee, but you do find it. But you could swear that the tree that it's near was maybe 15 feet away before. It is odd, but you pick up the bee and you walk with it. You look at it, it's like the inside of it is ruptured. It has 1 health and you did triple the damage to it. So, little bits of it have leaked out and frozen over in the snow. But you scoop it up and take it away. And as you guys wait for a little bit, Fizz, this fire genasi wearing almost no clothing, approaches holding the ruined carcass of a giant bee. Master Solano takes it from you in his hands and looks at it gently, sighs, but then looks closer. Shay,
Yes,
Roland,
master.
and the other two, look at this. Do you see anything out of place?
It's bigger.
Do I see anything out of
Yeah,
place?
do I
What are you looking for, Matt?
I guess I'm looking for, besides the crushed innards from
Is there
the
anything
flick,
weird? Make a perception check. Make an investigation check.
Yeah, I'm looking if there's anything strange about this bee.
Yeah, make an investigation check. Shay, what are you looking for?
I mean, it's obviously not solid, so anything that's odd beyond the fact that it's crushed.
Make a nature check, Shay.
Investigation is 19.
Okay. Perry, as you look at it, what color are your eyes?
Like an icy blue.
So your icy blue eyes narrow and focus in on this, at one point striated, fuzzy, yellow and black bumblebee, and now kind of it looks like somebody took a minion and squeezed it really hard. And there are other colors there. You look in and you can see tiny and mixed and interspersed into the little furry elements, some of them now crumbled and ruined with the damage that Fizz did. Little teeny tiny mushrooms, almost brown. You can see little spores that rise up. Shay, what was your roll?
16.
You see a dead bee.
Some fungus is growing inside of it.
Not fungus. What is your name, Janazi?
Pericolo. This is dope.
Pericolo and Doppio. Looks at the bird for just a second, actually. Then, not quite a fungus. This is spores. Are any of you familiar with myconids?
No.
Would I be, as a natural explorer of the Arctic, would I be familiar with the flora and fauna?
Of the Arctic, sure, but you've never heard of these.
So these are not part of... I imagine they're non-native, right? Or at least to the Arctic.
You've never heard of them.
Okay.
Well, they are like any of you, about the same size. Humanoid in a way, but large mushroom-like creatures. Generally peaceful, but to use spores like this would indicate either self-defense or some kind of an attack. My guess would be the second, but this is why these pixies, or pixie, was so far out. I can stabilize this place using the flow of ki, so that we may access the ponds we head to, but I cannot guarantee our safety if something is amiss. Generally, the second trial is quiet meditation for 6 hours in the singing ponds. But maybe we can make an adjustment this year.
Yeah. Meditation's great, but you know.
I didn't expect you, Fizz, to necessarily partake in the meditation part, but the hot springs are quite nice.
That sounds great.
Think this might be an excellent opportunity. Roland, can I... And he reaches out and Roland hands him this quarterstaff. Master Solano stands up and in a single motion flicks it around and jams it into the snow, with his hand snapping it at a right angle. And it just... He gestures it ever so slightly to the north. Please, put the small folks' mind at ease and then find me at the rigging ponds. A word of caution. The energy that flows through this place is joyous, but there is danger in such mirth. Only one cannot truly laugh when one's eyes are open. May your path become clear. And he jumps, and you see just 45 feet up, he lands on a bough before just leaping again and disappearing as white falls from the top snow. And you guys are all alone.
With Roland.
With Roland. And Roland is just kind of looking at his staff. Oh.
So...
Walks over and picks it up, and the staff snaps fully in half. Master Gamble just gave that to me. And you can see he just sadly holds the two pieces.
I'm sure he can make you another Roland when we get back.
Sticks. There's plenty of sticks in the woods.
this is not just a stick. And he holds it out. To you, it does look very much like a stick. So, the four of you now stand in this small clearing, snow on the ground. What would you like to do?
8 a.m. in the morning.
It's about 8:30 in the morning.
Do I have a sense of an idea of where these pools are, direction-wise, from where we are?
You don't. You could certainly try to look for them.
Okay.
Can I send Doppio to do like a quick scout up above? I think I have an ability that allows me to search areas like really well. 'Cause
Tell me what that ability is.
as a natural explorer.
Not a lot of people play Ranger because
Yeah, that's why it's tough. So
Rangers-
while traveling for an hour or more in my chosen terrain of Arctic, difficult terrain doesn't slow down my group's travel.
Nice.
My group can't become lost except by magical means. I am alert to danger whenever I am engaged in another activity, and I move stealthily at a normal pace while alone.
Dope.
I can find twice as much food while foraging, and while tracking creatures, I can learn the exact number, sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area.
Okay.
I am particularly familiar with Arctic environment and are adept at traveling and surviving in such regions.
So if anybody doesn't own the player guide, now you have an excerpt from it. But yes, so what I'll say is you tell the bird to fly up. Go ahead and make a perception check for the bird, using the bird stats.
Okay. Little bird, little bird. Ooh, that's a 23 for my little Doppio.
And so what does that roll? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, it's oh wait, yeah. Perception is +3, so it's a 22 actually.
Nice. The bird flies up into the air. You can see as the wings spread out the full kind of white and faintly speckled blue plumage of this creature before it disappears through the trees and into the air. It flies around and it sees what it sees as it returns. In this way that only you and it can kind of communicate through a series of songs and gestures, you're able to determine what specifically were you looking for?
Looking for these reflecting pools, the direction that we should start heading in.
Okay. Looking around, I would say, the bird informs you it didn't see any pools. It saw, again, the small kind of stream that seems to both begin and end within 100 feet of each other, that you had actually seen Roland across. Not a pool by any means. It did see glimmers and sparkles coming maybe a half a mile away to the north, further into the Frostline.
Okay, so I'm gonna start heading in that direction. But I'm pretty sure it's this way.
Okay.
Is that the way that Serrano jumped? Solano?
Solano, vaguely, yeah. It's hard to tell what direction he went in. It's you're moving in roughly the direction that broken staff was pointed to. So you would imagine probably the correct way. So what do you guys want to do?
Going that way.
Alrighty. What's the marching order here?
I feel like you
I
went
probably would have
first,
started.
and then I would have.
I would have started walking first, but I'm taking it easy. I'm here on vacation pretty much. I'm just enjoying the sights.
Okay.
So then I think Shay probably would pass you.
Yes.
Because I'm guessing that Shay is using her speed, and that speed is probably still pretty good, even though you're level 3.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So Shay, Roland's going to do his best to keep up with you, but cannot. So right now it's Shay, Roland, Perry. Where do you fit in, Fizz?
Kind of magic
Wait, Roland's
pieces.
faster than me?
Yeah.
He's a monk.
Yeah.
He's a monk.
Yeah, but I have no difficult terrain can stop me. I can move stealthily at a normal pace in non-difficult
He's still a
terrain.
monk.
Yep.
Wow.
He's still
Even
alive.
though
He's got longer legs.
He does have longer legs.
Oh,
But yeah,
that's true.
he's pretty proficient at moving in this terrain, and just in general, actually. But you, for such a big guy, actually. So to your point, as you guys are walking, you can see Roland initially attempts to keep up with Shay. Shay, in certain parts of the snow here, where it's well packed or just frozen over, she's not leaving footprints. She moves with a kind of grace and lightness that seems almost impossible for a human. In ways more elven, but even that just seems like it doesn't fit. But Roland cannot keep up with her. Roland, despite the fact that for his size, you don't see him slip, you don't see him stumble. He picks his way through the snow and the ice very carefully, um, but not anywhere near as fast as Shay. Fizz, where are you going?
Fizz is gonna hang out with Perry, two outsiders together.
Okay. So the Genazzi's in the back.
The Genazzi's in the back.
Genazia. I don't know if it's like a Latin declination,
It is now.
but
Genasi would be.
I've always heard it Genasi with a long
Genasi.
A. Ah.
Okay. Genos.
But I'm not.
Guardian Leviosi.
Right.
Yep.
So you guys walk Shay, Roland, and then Perry and Fizz. The first leg of this, probably as you're walking, you're seeing the trees pass, and they're growing a little bit denser, a little bit taller. The sunlight coming through is a little bit more impacted by the various pine needles and branches that cover. What are you guys doing as you walk? Is there anything that you wish to do?
Juggle.
I'm gonna start.
What are you juggling?
I have juggling balls. They're on my
Okay.
character sheet.
Make a performance check.
It's gonna be real. 19 plus 3 is 22.
What do these juggling balls look like?
They're just like multicolored. One's red, one's blue, and one's brown. Kind of like the elements, kind
Sure,
of.
okay.
And they're
So you pull out these brown and blue and red, you said, balls. They're smooth to the touch, and you begin to juggle them. And at first, it's fairly simple. It just begins one after the other, and then the motions begin to transform, and you can't quite tell. It doesn't look like three balls anymore. And as they move, it's partly the colors of the balls and partly the skin tone and the fiery hair, but they seem to shift in color, and as your hands move, it's almost as if you're juggling fire. For those of you who are moving through the woods, it is fairly distracting. It is a beautiful sight. It's really cool to watch. Roland, in particular, part of why he slows down is because he just kind of becomes transfixed and begins to walk at more of a normal pace. But you guys walk with this juggling barbarian. Matt, you said you wanted to do something?
I'm gonna start having Doppio just do a little foraging while we're going. Pick out some berries as we go along.
Okay, make a survival check. Shay, are you doing anything during this travel?
Keeping an eye on things.
There it is. Make a perception check.
I'm still alert all the time when I'm doing other stuff.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You cannot be surprised.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the. Yeah. I'm alert to danger even when I'm engaged. Okay. My survival was a. Is it little burb stat modifier or
Doppio stat modifier?
Okay, then that is a 13.
Okay. Get back to that in a second. You guys walk. And what was your perception score, Shay?
19.
19. So as you walk, you are aware of Doppio just here and there, kind of flying from tall branches down to the snow. Every now and then you'll hear this almost shrill warble, and then you'll see into the snow itself. Matt, after a little bit, Doppio returns with this. It's like a really small, really hairy caterpillar. Still bits of ice kind of frozen into it. The caterpillar drops onto your shoulder. Doppio hops once onto the very edge on the other side, and you hear a sad kind of.
I'm gonna.
Basically, it's
grab
all I
it.
could find.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the caterpillar and sort of warm it up, and then I'm gonna like take a little bite out, and then give the rest to Doppio.
Okay. You take this thing, and the furs on it are almost kind of spiky, but you kind of into it. It bursts in your mouth. It's very, very fluid filled and not as viscous as you think. It's actually surprisingly runny and kind of flat. It's not the worst flavor. It's like a very bitter miso soup almost, but without any salt and just real bitter. The furs also really irritate your mouth, but as you hand it to Doppio, he very, very quickly and very she Doppio it
It's a he.
he okay, so he just takes it, and you see the head go back, and then this tiny, elegant little songbird opens its mouth and just swallows this caterpillar. Gets up, very happy.
Nice.
You guys walk. Shay, you keep an eye on your surroundings. Of the adventuring party, the only one to do so. You have one Genasi juggling, one eating a caterpillar, and Roland just staring at these juggling balls now. His broken staff no longer in his mind. And you keep an eye, chaperoning this group as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
You're aware, as you walk over the course of about an hour, of a couple things. There's a time you're tangentially aware of a creature moving through the woods. It moves with a stillness and unsturdiness, or lack of confidence that makes you think it is certainly prey, not a predator, and it doesn't seem especially large. You kind of look, and as you stop for a moment, so much that Roland almost bumps into you because he's watching the juggling and then goes around, you can see as the group passes for a second, this deer just separates from the trees, looks at you for a minute, and then off into the snow. You turn and look at the group and turn one more time to look at the deer, and the trees behind you are different. They have almost different colored pine needles. It's very strange, but you quickly turn and catch up with the group so as not to lose them. You're aware as you move of this happening more and more. The trees don't seem to be where you left them. And the sky is getting darker. In your mind, you would imagine maybe 10, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, but it's almost dusk. A little bit of time passes, about an hour. Nothing threatening seems to get into your periphery. And suddenly, as the trees have been growing thicker and thicker, all at once you come to a type of clearing. It is a large, long clearing in the trees. It is warmer here. As you get to this edge, you can feel this warm breeze begin to blow. There is still light snow, but it is damp here and there. There's no longer just ice, and it shimmers slightly green. And with this shimmer, I would say, Shay, you have the highest passive perception. You look up, and the sky here is almost like dusk, yet it sheds a faint light tinged with emerald. Looking upon the heavens here, it's almost like looking up into a single facet of a gemstone so massive, its size would be beyond comprehension. You cannot see the edges of it. And as you shift your head, the faint emerald seems to sparkle, like a color shift effect, like ghostly fireworks behind a veil. The stones in this place are almost like a tarnished silver, here and there rising 6-7 feet up, boulders really, save facets that seem to have been shorn cleanly, or perhaps naturally the way that these form. But on these points, these flat surfaces, they seem to be almost mirror reflective. And as you enter this clearing, it becomes almost disorienting, like a hallway of mirrors. Trees here become like faceted rock, and there is just an empty patch of snow that's just clear and near the mirror. You can see probably whatever light does enter this place is responsible for the warmth of these reflections, probably concentrating that warmth and making the snow melt a little bit. Shay, you look around in this place. You don't see anything dangerous necessarily.
Would definitely stop for just like a half a second in awe. Just like almost slack-jawed for a second.
And as your mouth opens here and there, you can see other Shays and their mouth opening as well. Some of them full length, some of them slightly warped as if a funhouse mirror. This is natural stone, but incredibly reflective. You can see suddenly several balls come into appearance, reflected as the barbarian comes through. You see red, yellows, blues. The entire field lights up with these motions. Matt, as you come into play, suddenly you feel very unsettled. You are no longer in your favorite terrain. This is not the Arctic. But as you take all this stuff in, what do you do?
I'm just gonna look around, see what's going on with this. What's the big deal with these reflecting pool? Or I guess we don't know.
They're stones, they're not pools.
They're stones, yeah. You don't see any kind of water. Here and there, it's moist. You can see areas where snow has melted, perhaps. But, yeah, aside from that, you don't see a whole lot of water. No pools, no bodies of water.
I'm gonna be like, so is this the place?
I don't
To Shay, and then I'm gonna look over at Roland to like back to Shay.
I don't think so. It was
You can see
described to
Roland's
me as
eyes close a
pools
little
of
bit.
water.
Windy One, this is not pools. These are stones. And he begins to kind of walk forwards. You see he puts a hand on the dull part, the gray part. It looks almost like maybe it's oxidized over time. And as he rubs it and pulls the finger away, that gray dust comes away. And you can see it too is like mirror shiny. And then the air, whatever is in it, suddenly it just fades and becomes gray again.
It is strange.
For Roland's pause, and then check out the mirrors. But mostly, I think me in the mirrors.
Okay. You walk up to the mirror. Make a perception check as you gaze upon yourself.
It's a bit of vanity here. 13.
13. You see this fire genasi, fiery colored hair, dark skin. You kind of flex and you can see just very muscular. What is your strength score?
16.
Yeah, so you can see like elements of definition where muscles kind of bind together. You're very strong. And so as you flex, no longer juggling, Roland's still looking at you. You can kind of see his gaze from behind in the reflection. Is no longer focusing on this other rock. What are the rest of you doing as this barbarian walks over and begins flexing in a mirror?
Looking to see if there are other pathways or obvious trails or places to go.
Make a perception check.
While Shay's doing that, I'm gonna be like, we're not together. Just for the record.
Together.
I traveled alone here. I wanted to make that clear.
Oh, so you met the bird here.
I'm talking about the,
Oh, so you're not together. You thought that just because you're both Genasi, that we would assume that of you, but we would not.
Oh, no, I just wanted to I didn't think you would assume. I just wanted to make sure that it was on the record. That,
Well, Shay and I are not here together either.
Right, but you're here together. You're both part of the Zinyi.
And we're here with you.
We're all the
And
best
with
of
each other.
friends.
Just turning around now from the reflection, still flexing.
Definitely heard all of that.
I don't know what.
Didn't hear any of that.
Okay, fair enough. So, you guys stand. Shay, what was your perception check?
22.
22. There are all kinds of paths. I mean, they don't grow so closely together that it would obstruct your movement.
Mm-hmm.
And through the center, it's not like a straight, clear path, but there is a pretty wide berth. You'd be able to walk in places where you'd have, 15, 20 feet out where you guys could walk side by side. There are places where you'd have to kind of go through elements of rocks. It's almost like when you go to a beach, you You can see rocks coming out of the sand, and you have to kind of walk through. Very similar, but there is no sand. There is just bits of dead grass and snow, and then pine needles everywhere. You would imagine this would be a nightmare to clean up.
Well, there is a path. Perhaps we should continue?
Yes, please.
So do you guys take this path? Same marching order?
I
Yep.
think I would try to stay with Shay at this point. Like,
Okay.
Well, Roland and I are best friends, so we're gonna hang out together.
Okay. So who's in front? Which pair is in front?
I feel like we would probably be in front. Perry and Shay.
yeah, who's probably a little faster.
Shay,
Well,
Perry.
Shay is.
Two of you take up the front, and as a group, you progress into this. And as you walk in, it is this field of, it's like a mirror house almost. When you get further in, about 20, 30 feet in, almost any direction you look, you can see dozens, maybe even hundreds of yourselves just looking back and moving. Sometimes it's like the reflections walk into each other and bind and disappear. Occasionally you'll walk towards yourself and you'll stretch into two and walk away. The reflections here are difficult and a little bit disorienting.
Are there any reflections that don't behave normally, like
Make a
based on their angle?
Make a perception check.
8.
8. No, they all look exactly like they should be behaving. You look here and there and you wave and it looks all normal. You guys all watch this barbarian wave and look very pleased with this wave. Anybody else doing anything?
I mean, just continuing to keep an eye.
Are we still no
Perception
longer
check, Shay.
in Arctic terrain?
You are not.
Okay. I'm gonna be more on alert than I had been,
Okay.
but still pretty, like, I'm just kind of like,
Make a perception
having
check as well.
Dopey
Shay?
keep eyes.
21.
Okay.
It is 25.
25. Okay. Shay, you look around and you're keeping a pretty close eye. You've heard of things in the Frostline. You've heard of these trolls that have bioluminescent grass that grows across their chests. You've heard of deer that stand 20 feet tall and pick at the branches in the highest trees of this place. You've heard tell and seen now pixies that live in this place. You don't see any of that. Perry, you keep a very close eye. You have been in this environment for most of your life in the Arctic, and to not be there all of a sudden puts you at ease, or puts you at very, very ill ease. And you have Doppio constantly kind of looking behind you and you looking forwards. You keep a very close eye on what's happening. You watch your barbarian friend wave into one of the mirrors and smile, and in that flicker of motion you see almost as if something departs from the hand. You follow it across 1, 2, 5, 10 mirrors, your eyes tracing each individual element, and you see this tentacle in one of the mirrors. Hard to tell what direction, even with the 26. Maybe north, maybe east, but it's gone.
It's okay. But I saw which mirror it was in, like when I tracked it.
Yeah, you were able to
away.
track it across like 9 different mirrors. And so first you looked south, then you traced it north, then west, and then eventually you led your way back, and it seems to be, it's hard to tell, but it could be circling you.
Okay. I'm gonna be like, something's coming.
You see Roland suddenly swing half of the staff out, the other onto the ground. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna give Doppio a little whistle and then take out my bow.
Okay.
Get ready.
And you can see kind of takes off and is now sort of flying around your group.
Pull out my quarterstaff.
Okay. Pull out your quarterstaff. As a group now you kind of come in. Fizz, what are you doing?
I've got my two-handed great sword. I'm gonna pull it out, not to be outshone.
A broken stick, a bow, another stick, two-handed, like anime-sized greatsword. It's the
Watching
first
a moves
actual.
in my back.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden, she seems like an inch taller because she can stand up straight now. It's a massive weapon. But in this place, you all stand back to back. You wait, you hold your breath, and suddenly in all of the mirrors, you see it again, this purplish tentacle kind of whip out.
I'm gonna fire an arrow at it.
Okay, go ahead and make an attack roll.
That is a dirty 20.
A dirty 20. Okay. As you see this tentacle, already you fire an arrow. It streaks and hits the rock. You can see the mirror part crack and spiderweb out, and the arrow just is embedded in one of these mirrors. With this, though, you hear behind you, about 30 feet, Perry, this low kind of... And I need all of you to roll initiative. That is wonderful.
Not great.
There are better things that you guys could certainly be doing, but that's okay. Give me just one moment to get this music all set up for you here.
Shay's got plot armor though, right?
We've discussed this.
So-
Plot armor isn't necessarily a thing. There's lots of ways to make these things work.
That's true.
You were
Shay is
resurrected.
Yeah.
You've been a zombie the whole
I've
time.
been a zombie the whole time.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Really
Yeah.
fun.
Then you would be more zombie than Gunter,
Yes.
which is
Oh, that's
A lot.
right.
because Gunter
I've
is
just come
pretty
back
much
from
a
that quite
zombie.
few times.
Yeah.
Okay. So, second initiative of the thing. 25 to 20.
22.
Nice. Shay, 22. 20 to 15.
18.
18. For Perry. Alright, what'd you roll?
14.
Okay, not bad. Rolling, not doing so hot. That's okay, though. 14 was Fizz. Okay, so it is going to be Shay, and then Perry, and then Fizz, and then we're going to see what happens. So, Shay, you look around, you can see this arrow fly, this mirror shatter and become spiderweb-like, and the reflection no longer solid. You hear the sound just 40 feet behind you, 30 feet behind you, almost like a cross between a purr and a growl. What do you want to do?
I am going to turn to face the direction that I hear it coming,
Okay.
and
You turn.
hold my action to hit it if it comes close.
Okay, Shay holding an action to hit it if it comes close. Perry, what do you want to do? You can see Shay tense up a little bit and turn towards the roughly southwest.
Do I see the tentacle monster or whatever is coming near us, or do I still only hear that it came in that direction?
You you do not see it turning in that direction. And just for reference for you guys, and if somebody wants to post that in Twitch chat, that'd be great. At the moment, you guys are just a little bit, you're one square to the north and then one square to the west of the pine tree that's kind of alone on the eastern side of the map. You guys are sort of clustered around that at the moment. So, Matt, where you're hearing this come from is somewhere to the southwest of you.
Okay. I'm going to notch another arrow.
Okay.
Whatever the term is. And I'm going to ready my action as well.
Okay.
And then I am going to have Doppio prepare to back me up.
Okay, so remember that Doppio, I believe, is a bonus action. You can have him do things. You can't ready
No.
a bonus action. Or does he act on your initiative?
Doppio acts on my initiative.
Okay, there you go.
So I can command him on my turn. Otherwise, he just does the dodge action, I think.
Okay, yeah. So you yank out one of these arrows, and you can actually hear the sound of the bowstring tensing taut. You feel the bird land for just a second on your shoulder before taking off again, ready for what you want it to do. That is your turn. Fizz, what are you doing? You can see your companions now both turn in the same direction and kind of prepare.
I will take whatever movement I need to get in front of them, and I will...
Only about 10 feet.
Also ready an attack. The swinging of my greatsword for something within melee range.
Okay, so the three of you now basically standing diagonally next to each other, all with attacks prepared.
So I can still see my shot.
Yeah, so you kind of get right in front, and then anybody from the front would just see Perry kind of leaning out to the side, still be able to see. But all of you ready actions, fantastic. This is going to bring us to its turn.
Where it gets hit by 3 actions simultaneously.
So suddenly, from the area where you are, you guys would see elements of movement. These purple tentacles, this large black and almost shifting purple fur. You see a haunch, almost like a large cat's paw, disappear. And you're aware of this creature moving diagonally almost behind you. And as you turn and watch, your guys' sight comes upon Roland. And behind Roland, you can see one of these reflexive mirror surfaces. Suddenly, this creature emerges. You see like a panther-like body and face, although larger than a natural panther would be. And on its back, a variety of these long tentacles with these venom-dripping suckers on the tips. This is, for those of you familiar with it, a displacer beast. And as it looks down at Roland, Roland just kind of turns, and this creature looming over it. I would say, Perry, you're going to get a shot at this because it is at range. It's about 15 feet away from you. It's not quite close enough for Shay or Fizz. So Perry, go ahead and make your attack roll.
This is not a Fey creature, correct?
This is considered, it is not considered a Fey creature, no.
Okay. That is a, what is it? +2 bonus attack rolls plus, so that's 22.
22. So you, as you have this arrow already knocked, as soon as this thing appears, you see the reflection loom. You swing instinctively to fire at it, but in the last second, you remember the last time that you did, and you turn and you shoot at what you believe to be a reflection, and it strikes true. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
Nice. What is the damage on my thing? I think it's D8 for long button.
You tell me?
Sorry, this is the trials of knowing.
Of doing one shots with a brand new character.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a D8. Okay, that is 6 damage, piercing damage if it matters.
Okay, so and it hits this creature. You could see before where it was kind of just, it just like falls back a little bit. The arrow still lodged into the kind of dark fur itself. Anything else?
As a bonus action, I'm going.
It's not your turn.
Oh, right. So does Doppio's?
It's not within range for Doppio to make a reaction.
But that's also not till level 5. I'm just wondering if his readied help action goes.
No, it wouldn't go into effect. No. That is your reaction. So now this creature, jerking back with the blow of this arrows, the ears flatten back, giving it almost like a snake-like appearance. It hisses at Roland, who is holding a broken staff. He's going to make his attacks against Roland. That is going to be 2 tentacle attacks. D20s. No, that's not that great. Roland. Oh, that's enough though. So those are both 14s, both hit. He's going to take 7. 13. 18 points total of bludgeoning and piercing damage. You watch as the first one strikes Roland straight across the face. The fat, kind of peachy skin is torn. Blood immediately begins to run down. The second tentacle hits him straight in the chest. These orange zingy clothing torn away, and you can actually see elements of skin through that. Then you can watch as a bonus action, this displacer beast suddenly shifts. There are 4 of them standing in the same place. Some of them vaguely illusionary, some seem less so, but they seem to flicker and alternate which one's real, which one's not. And suddenly, for all of you, there are hundreds of them reflected across dozens of these stones. It is really hard to tell which is which. But that is its turn. That brings us to Roland. Roland is going to make his attacks. That is a natural 1.
Ooh,
So,
yeah, Roland.
You
is
watch
Poor
Roland,
Roland.
like already really hurt, like takes a couple of steps forward and swings and just falls flat on his face. The snow skidding on his foot, and just he is now prone on the ground, very hurt. That is his turn. That brings us to Shay. Perry, you're on deck. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna run over and almost step over Roland in a way.
Okay.
And
You're a monk. You can certainly you can plant your hands on him and leap over him if you want.
more defensive than anything, like giving him a chance to
Sure.
stand up.
Okay, so you jump, placing one hand on his shoulder, and basically slide your body over, putting it right in front of his.
And if there's one in range there, I'm gonna try to hit it.
You certainly can.
Whether it's real or not, we'll see.
Yeah.
Going back to Shay at level 3.
I know it's tough. Huh?
Is 19 to hit.
19. Your fist lashes out and
That's the staff.
fades. Sorry, what?
It's the staff, not the fist.
Staff. Your staff lashes out and slams into a stone. Your hands shake with the impact as the staff hits, and this one displacer beast just vanishes. It was a hit, but it does destroy one of the. It has 4 of these projected things. What are you doing?
Is there another within range from where I am? Because I can make a follow-up on arm strike.
Oh, there certainly is. There are several within range of you. Yeah, as you get over Roland, you're faced with at least 6 of these beings within easy striking distance. Yeah.
Next closest one is getting. That's 24.
On that map, Roland is backed into that corner between those 3 big boulders, so you're seeing reflections across all of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What was it?
24.
24 hits. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
That is 8.
So the first time you swing the staff, it hits a stone. Elements of that mirror shatter, and you see that displacer beast flicker into nothing. You take the momentum of that, your fists already shaking, and swing it around backhand. It hits this displacer beast right in the neck. How much damage is that?
8.
8. So 8 points of damage. You can see it just kind of shifts a little bit in the snow. Does not appear especially hurt by that.
Just call out this one.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Perry, what do you want to do? Fizz, you're on deck.
I'm going to fire another arrow. I guess I'm going to, try to find the right one to fire, and I'm gonna have Doppio use his help action to help me locate the correct one.
Okay, sure. So with that, I'll say the effect that it currently has with these things cast out around it is not going to take into effect. You have Doppio fly out, go through, and you see this tiny bird land. It seems to almost be like bumping in, but as it hits these various displacer beasts, you can see which ones are mirror, and suddenly it hits one, and you see the head turn, and that is the real one. You turn and fire. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
Nice. That's a 23.
That hits. Go ahead and roll damage on that. Jeez.
Nice. That is 6 plus 6 plus 4, so 10.
Nice. All right. You turn, and the second that displacer beast turns, the arrow's already gone, and it sinks into one of the haunches. You can see it bends a little bit with it, but its eyes are still kind of focused on this bird. It seems to be tracking. Anything else?
I think that is it for now. I'm gonna stay my ground.
And you're keeping Doppio there, just kind of in this creature's striking range?
No, I'm gonna have Doppio. Wait, did he go right into the striking range?
If he was going to use the help action to distract him, yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna
Or to like determine which one's really is bumping into each one. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then I guess I'm going to have. Oh, but that's gonna provoke an opportunity attack if I have Frostline, right?
What are you doing?
I'm gonna have him. Oh, he's gonna take a hit one way or another. So
If you don't decide, he's going to take a hit too. Okay.
Okay.
So as he takes back, you can see one of the tentacles lash out. What is the AC of that creature? It's not great.
Oh boy, it's a 12.
And he rolled a 10, so that is a miss. You can see Doppio underneath the tentacle, and he manages to return to you. That is your turn?
That is my turn.
Alrighty, Fizz, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna bonus action rage, and as I rage, my skin sort of cracks and like flames like flicker through like where veins might be.
So Shay, from your perspective, from where you are, you kind of turn your head. You see the arrow like sink into this creature. You can see this bird flying to and from, the tentacles going around. And then your eyes go over to this other genasi, the dark skin. You can see lines of light, of almost like a magma-looking color, begin to make their presence known. And suddenly it's like tectonic plates shifting across the skin. You hear the hands close tighter on the sword's hilt. You are now raging. What else are you doing?
Movement to run up to the one that Perry attacked.
Okay, only takes about 10 feet of movement, so you get there easily.
Great, and I'm going to swing my greatsword at it.
Go ahead, and you have, I believe, because you're raging, advantage on it?
I have advantage on, strength.
There you go.
2, the higher of that is 12 plus a 5.
Yes, 17 hits.
Great. It's a two-handed weapon. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 2 for rage, plus 3 is 12 damage.
Nice, okay.
And as I hit it, because it's the first creature I hit, soot sort of poofs out of my weapon, and little soot balls sort of fill the air around my attack and the wound, and they start pestering the displacer beast.
Now, is that a bonus action to cast?
It's just a.
Oh, it's right.
When I first hit it, it just does it.
So as the sword hits, suddenly elements of those black shifting pieces of your skin that seem to be floating across magma separate like little bits of soot. And they seem to almost create a field that stays suspended for just a moment. In a movie, this is the part where it's like that Matrix 360 spin, and you're in this field, almost like a field of soot. And suddenly they just begin to like pester this creature. They begin to go for the eyes and the tentacles. And this creature, the tentacles begin to swipe at these things that seem to be unclear if they're really there. Throughout all of these mirrors, you do not see these little motes, for what it's worth. Anything else?
Do you need a refresher on the effects of that, or are you good?
I'm good. It's getting disadvantage and.
Yes, allies being attacked have resistance.
Okay.
I wrote that,
Excellent.
but I don't know what resistance to what.
I believe it's. I'll have to check.
I have my book right in front of me.
Excellent. That is your turn. That brings us to it. So it. Let's make this fair. Matt, go ahead and roll a d4 for me.
Oh. Okay, when that happens. 4.
4. Okay. So you can see this creature looking around now, taking a strike in the shoulder, seeing this bird like flittering around. You watch as it turns. Its eyes just completely ignoring you. It's going to swipe once with the tentacle at Shay and once at Fizz. Shay, the one that strikes at you, that is going to be a 20 to hit.
It gets disadvantage.
It does get disadvantage, right?
It gets disadvantage and resistance if it hits. So it gets all damage resistance.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
With disadvantage, that is only going to be a 15 to hit.
That misses!
There you go. Look at that. So as this tentacle slashes out towards you, Shay, you can see these eyes in the displacer beast, these deep black eyes narrow at you, and suddenly elements of soot begin to pester it in the eyes. It has to blink, and the tentacle comes within inches of your face, but it does miss. The second one is coming at you, Fizz. It's also at disadvantage, correct?
No, this only impacts allies.
Only Al.
Yes, only allies.
Okay. Let's go off the table. That is going to be also a 15 to hit.
15 matches.
15 matches, so that does hit. You are going to take 7 points of bludgeoning damage halved because you are raging to 3. And you are also going to take 2 points of piercing damage halved to 1. So a total of 4 points of damage. As this sinks into you, you can feel the tentacle latch on. It doesn't bounce off. You feel pain as it pierces in. You don't even flinch. You actually watch elements of the tentacle seem to almost draw back as the heat seems to be uncomfortable for it. But that is its turn. That brings us to Roland. Roland's going to take half of his movement. He climbs up. He takes part of the staff. Gets to his feet. He's going to take 5 feet forward, 10 feet forward actually, and he is going to swing with the broken staff. He's going to hit it. Look at that.
Nice.
Good job, Roland.
He grunts. You can see there's just blood coming out of his face from that tentacle wound. You can see elements of his orange robes turning into a dark crimson. But he swings and he's going to deal 10 points of damage to this thing. It is a solid. You can see Roland for a Zinyi monk who is, for all of his fighting prowess, fairly calm. He's angry. Cracks it right in the back of the head. It turns. Its attention is fully on him. He is going to take a second attack. And that is also going to hit. Also for 10 points of damage. So, yeah, Roland just crack. There's no... You've seen Shay attack with these, this one hit and it swings around using the momentum. Roland is just hitting this thing with a stick. All elements of trading completely gone. It is a 6'5", 300-pound bald man striking this thing with the stick. Again and again. The displacer beast now, you can see the first hit, it turns and hisses at him. The second hit, the ears go back. It is no longer an angry hiss. This thing is beginning to look pretty hurt, and it's starting to get kind of frightened. However, that brings us to Shay. Perry, you're on deck.
Ooh. Swinging with the staff.
Go ahead.
That is 19.
19 hits. Roll damage.
5.
5 points of damage. So the first swing of the staff, you could hit right on the top part of the leg. Assuming that it's like most cats, it is right where the bicep will be, and you actually cause the entire creature to buckle.
And then, you know what? He's going to take a flurry of blows, because why not?
Go for it.
That is 21.
21 hits.
That's 8 points of damage.
8. Nice.
And this one probably is going to miss. It's only an 11.
An 11 does miss. So, with this flurry of blows, you hit it first, and you can see that first hit hits it and it buckles down. It begins to turn towards you. You see one of the tentacles coming also. You take this staff, you spin it twice and slap the tentacle away. The tentacle you feel underneath the staff snap. It doesn't break off. You feel whatever bones or whatever structure puts this in place just rupture on the inside. That tentacle goes limp. This thing is looking very hurt. You swing again and it curls back out of your range, afraid. Anything else?
Nope, holding ground.
All right. Perry, what do you want to do? Fizz, you're on deck.
I am going to send Doppio back in to help me fire off another shot.
right into battle. You can see it gets right in the way. This creature already looking distracted. It's looking frightened. It begins to back up. Make your attack. It is distracted.
That is 17 plus 8, 25.
That hits. Roll damage for that.
That's another 10 points of damage.
This arrow, as you let it go, you can see Doppio flies and lands right on its nose. It's already frightened. It's already confused. One of the tentacles tries to swipe it away, and as Doppio drifts, it sees the arrow incoming. The arrow strikes it right in the head. You can see the skull stops the actual arrow from impacting, but blood begins to pour into one of the eyes. This thing is incredibly hurt, but not dead. You can see the legs shaking, the tentacles now mostly limp, one of them up and still agitated, but this thing is hurt. Anything else?
I think I'm gonna leave Doppio there this time.
Okay.
I don't want him to risk the opportunity attack. I think
Doppio now slight shrill whistles as it comes in and is pecking and using its little tiny feet to like claw at the Displacer's eyes. Displacer is like trying to shake it off. You can see the paws coming up very cat-like, trying to rub it out of the face. But it is quite hurt. Fizz, it is your turn. What do you want to do?
So at the start of my turn, the soot sort of returns to me, into my body, and then I'll have to strike again to see if I get that benefit back. That is a 14 to hit.
So as you raise the sword
I get
up,
advantage though?
you do.
Alright, then that is a 19 to hit.
So as you raise the sword up, all the soot that is kind of pecking at the face and getting into the ears and the mouth, with the sword drawing back like water from a wave, pulls back into your body, and you swing, and it all comes ripping down your arm and floods back onto the creature. Go ahead and roll damage for that.
It is 9 total damage.
Tell us how it happens.
The soot, as it kind of fills its eyes, the soot like parts like the Red Sea as my sword swings straight and true through it, narrowly missing the bird that's there because in my blind rage I'm not going to see it, and it will like split it through the front of its eyes and the skull.
Okay, so as the soot ruptures and comes into the eyes, it seems to almost coat the face, forming a mask across the panther-like visage of the beast. You swing, and at the last moment, it's as if a seam of purple opens up with just a little bit of blood from that arrow that is still protruding from the skull. And you bisect the skull. You hear a sickening pop as the entire skull cracks open. Blood pours out. All the tentacles go taut for a moment before falling limp, and this creature is dead. You all kind of like breathing heavily, see this large creature now slumped forward on the ground, and I'm going to take you guys out of combat.
Whew. Now that is the excitement that I came here for.
Doppio
that-
turns. You can feel the little heart beating like rapidly.
Is that why you came here to this area, to this plane, Perry?
I mean,
Yeah.
for this thing in particular, no. I just came to see what all these the hubbub is all about. The Zinyi and their trials.
Nifty.
Guys. And you look over and you can see Roland is like the whole front of his tunic is like soaked through with blood. If on like a scale, he's probably like a 2 out of 22. He's looking pretty hurt. He's like holding, you can see it first looks like he's holding part of his robe in. It's just a piece of skin that has like fallen away. He's looking pretty hurt.
That doesn't look good, buddy.
It doesn't feel very good either.
Can I try to perform like a medicine check on him?
Shay would
Yeah, go
have
for it.
probably brought a medical kit with her. Can I do that as well?
You would not have been permitted to bring a medical kit with you.
Damn.
Yes.
I have nothing that would help. I have a pant
Sorry, Roland. That's a 6.
You go over to Roland and he pulls his hand. You kind of tell him to move his hands. He looks down. He's like, are you sure? And you're like, yeah, I need to look at it. And he takes his hand off. The spurt of blood comes out. He loses a health point. He puts it back on because he sinks down to one knee. I'm really not feeling good, guys.
Yeah. Be okay.
kind of sinks down into like a sitting position. Think I might have to wait here.
Yeah. That's probably for the best.
Shay, can you send Master Solano back when you found him?
Yes, yes.
Can we trade stabs also if I'm gonna stay here by myself?
I'll hand it.
I'm gonna look down. It's completely broken now, just 2 pieces. You hand him the staff. You can take a broken staff if you would like.
I'll leave it.
He sort of seems to try to push himself off, but then thinks better of it and slumps against a rock.
I'll offer my dagger to Shay. Like,
I have one, thank you, though.
all right.
Is there trees nearby or anything? Just rocks.
As far as you can tell, just rocks. Although, make a perception check.
15.
15. You look around, and maybe 60 feet away, there's a thin seam of dark green. A tree, perhaps, to the north.
Are the rocks movable with my strength? Could I pile them around Roland to make him like a little cavern of safe?
You won't know without trying. You can make an athletics check.
I will.
Oh.
15.
So you watch as Fizz kind of lumbers over, sheathing this massive sword. The elements that were coming out that were almost like seams of magma in the dark skin seem to be kind of closing, and the skin seems to be coming up. You reach down, you pick up this massive boulder with a single motion, like hoist it up. This is like a 400-pound boulder. Your arms do not encircle the entire thing. Suddenly, these lines of magma surge back open. You lumber over and down in front of Roland, who actually unexpectedly, kind of like yipes a little bit and draws back. For those of you who are watching Roland, his stare continues to follow this Genasi for the rest of the time that you are in his sightline. He is quite impressed by you. Between the juggling,
as he should be.
But you put that in front, and you kind of, if you look at the map, you can see the area that he was tucked into is now kind of closed off. There are thin lines, but a creature like the Displacer Beast would have a difficult time getting to him. He's also kind of like clumped in there. It would be difficult for him to get out, but he nods to you. Thank you.
Anytime.
Could I use part of his outfit, the shreds of it, to help like bind it closed at least a little bit?
Make a medicine check.
That is 19.
You go in, and you can see Roland very hesitant to let anybody look at this wound again.
I'm not like trying. I'm not trying to take his hands away. Like I'm cutting away, like using my dagger to like cut away the fabric and like bind around it.
So as he holds on, you cut the top and the bottom, and you leave this piece of cloth where it is, but you take it and twist it to form almost a long string part, and you end up making a pretty good makeshift bandage. You feel like that bleeding, while not stopping, certainly is a little bit staunched and probably helped a decent amount. He's not going to bleed out here. You tie it finally tight one last time. Oof. That really hurt, but thank you. Takes the staff and kind of slides down the length of it until he's sitting again. Please hurry.
Of course.
So, should we bury the body of the Displacer Beast, like the Bumblebee guy? Or are we cool to just leave it?
Knowing that this is not a native Fey creature, would I know, like, does it not fall under these mystical rules that Master Solano had been implying?
Make an insight check first of all. You watch as these ice blue eyes kind of roll up as he seems to be thinking. This is like in Scrubs, like a JD moment.
What is insight is pretty good. That's a 21.
You think back to the way that Master Solano spoke about this bee and about being respectful in a place that you don't belong. You don't get the sense that it's like a mystical rule set as much as it's this very well experienced monk telling you not to be a dick in the forest. Like, don't leave it around. Like, he's just asking you not to ruin this beautiful place.
Right.
Do you need to bury creatures that you kill? Probably not. Would it be a nice thing to do? Probably.
I mean, how long is it gonna take us?
Is the ground like malleable to a greatsword shoveling?
You draw your greatsword again and stick it in, and it does go maybe 4 or 5 inches, but you feel it firm pretty quickly as you progress, and you would imagine it is ice underneath. It would be difficult to dig. It would take some time.
Just
I lose interest in that then.
Yeah, I think it kind of attacked us. It had it coming.
Roland peeks out from behind the shiny rocks, and I don't think we should bury it. You can see just blood still all
I agree with you,
just
Roland.
fades back down.
I'll wink at him before he goes away.
You see just a faint color rise in the peachy skin as he disappears.
So,
Alrighty
get moving?
Yep.
Oh, the mirrors. They didn't have my soot balls in it. Do they have the dead thing? Sorry, the dead displacer beast.
You look at the reflection. You no longer see the reflection of the displacer beast.
Oh, that's freaky. Are the mirrors breakable? Like if I like stab them, will they shatter, or do they just sort of like they're good?
Do you walk up and stab one?
Yeah, I'll use a hand axe this time because my greatsword's.
You sheathe this huge sword and pull out. For most people, what would be basically like an actual hat, like an axe. For you, you grasp it in one hand. You kind of toss it up further so that the weight of the axe is at the furthest point from your hand, and swing it into the mirror. Shatters and more layers of jagged, broken mirror-like stone, but it breaks.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. So
I feel like we should move.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, let's go. Bye, Roland. Stay safe.
I'll try. You hear from behind the rocks.
Okay. Bye.
As you guys walk, I would say, who has a passive perception of above 15?
Me.
So everybody but Fizz hears Roland say very quietly, "Bye, Fizz." Fizz does not hear it. You guys continue to walk north, but because it is 10:30, we're gonna take a quick break so that we can get drinks, use the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. Now is a great time to check out alberonrpg.com, our website, to catch up on the story of our main campaign under the tab "The Story So Far." If you'd like a much longer way to do it, you could watch all of our old sessions on YouTube. But that's 312 hours, so you do you. But it is 10:30. We'll be back at 10:40. We'll see you then. And welcome back to Adventures in Alberon, or the home of Adventures in Alberon. But tonight, obviously, as you can see around us in this beautiful overlay, that I didn't even thank you, but Matt, thank you so much for putting together, and Tina for implementing and making all of this stuff happen. This is a team effort. It takes everybody to have happen. So thank you guys so much. I want to say a huge thank you to Talonale for the bits. And to Unreal Gaming, Zali421, JNJABA for following along. And to Ari for coming and being a guest on this one shot. So thank you so much. But just diving right back into this, when we left off, you guys had all just finished in this huge field of mirror-like stones, slaying a displacer beast who almost killed Roland, your secondary monk friend, who is now staying behind, his chest fairly wounded, but Shay, you doing a very good job patching him up. Fizz, you took a large boulder and kind of enclosed him in a space so that he might be a little bit safer. There was some flirting that happened. But you guys all progressed to the north. Continuing on your path, who is leading this group? This is, again, is it Shay, not Roland anymore? Is it Shay? You're in front?
Yes.
Make a perception
I'll be in
check.
front with Jay.
Okay. So Fizz and Shay, and then you have Perry and the bird in the back.
Yeah, we're taking the rear at this point because we'll flank. Shay is trustworthy. She seems to be perceptive. So
Dirty 20 on that note.
Dirty 20.
there it is.
Shay, you quickly locate the seam in the rocks where you can see about 60 feet away the dark green of an evergreen tree, and you begin to head in that direction. As you walk through this field of rocky, almost just natural occurring mirrors, you stop every now and then, or you don't stop, but you turn and you can see yourself. You can see the reflection of Fizz and Perry. It is just this odd place, and as you leave, it's just something that kind of sticks with you about there being so many. But no problem. You find your way out. You look down here and there, finding large cat paw tracks in the mud and the snow, and you follow those out to the edge. You get to the edge of a forest. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna just ask, can I intuit, knowing that we're no longer in the Arctic, have we gone into the Feywild at this point? Are we...
Given your background and kind of your experiences, you are within the Feywild. Okay. It is a part of the Feywild you're not familiar with. Not surprising, because and you having been there a couple times, it's different every time.
Right. Okay.
But
yeah, I'm on guard as a result of this.
Fair enough. And looking up at the sky, this huge, dark, almost like the facet of a gem, it is certainly not the material plane, or at least not the part that you're familiar with. But you follow Shay, and despite being in an unfamiliar place, without trouble, Shay leads you out. You get to this line of trees, and again, there is no snow on these trees. It's getting progressively warmer. And Shay, after about 10 minutes of walking, you realize it's a little bit slower going, and it's because you're walking in mud. No longer snow, no longer cold enough to have ice or snow. And you begin to get these other smells. At first, like fragrant sort of fireweed. This Shay would know a little bit further south, but still within the north proper, roughly the same longitude as the Lorebinder Academy. Mm-hmm. There are these beautiful fireweed flowers that grow, almost little plumes of small pink flowers that come down. But that smell, fragrant, like rich, dark vanilla, and then a honey wafts through the air. Here and there, as you walk, you look down, and through the mud, bits of grass are now growing. This shimmery gold sort of grass that Shay, you would see again about 10 years later, imported to the Gold Glow estate on the Golden Terrace in Kol Taram. You can see in this grass here and there bright 5-petaled pink flowers on tall stalks of grass. They dot the bank of what is now beginning to emerge as a tiny stream. almost the twin of the one that Roland had seen, or that you guys had encountered Roland at originally earlier. That one frozen. This runs, and as you walk for another 10 minutes, you come upon the source of it, this beautiful spring. The water here, you can see, reflects that same emerald from the sky. There are reeds that rise out. They're green, but here and there they dapple, almost variegated with pink. It is this unbelievable sort of beautiful place. And to the north of that, behind that, it rises up into a grassy hill, and from that hill over the hill is where these beautiful smells seem to be coming from. What do you want to do?
Are these the hot springs? Are they hot water?
You don't see like steam. You could go up and poke it if you want.
Go up and
I'm gonna send Doppio up to see over.
So Doppio, up into the air. Fizz, you walk over. What are you doing? How are you poking it? You just standing in it?
So I'm gonna put a hand in. Well, I'll put a.
Okay. You take a finger, and the dark skin disappears. You can see this ripple as the water is disturbed. It was a perfectly still little pond before. Despite it being a spring that was feeding this stream, I need you to make a charisma saving throw.
Uh-oh.
What was it?
10.
You dip your finger in. It's warm. And as the ripples clear, it is perfectly clear. You can see down to the bottom this little bits of maybe almost like a some kind of a reed that hasn't quite grown up through the surface yet. You can see a single fish just kind of dart, but nothing else. It is weird water. It feels unusual, but you can't really put a finger on why.
Well, I put a finger in it.
It's true.
Put a finger on it. Got it. Can I take my finger out? Is that it?
Pull it out. It's still a little damp, but otherwise unremarkable.
It's not a hot spring, guys. Just
Your microphone cut out. But what are you guys doing? Oh, sorry. So your bird up into the sky. It circles once, and as it returns, it jumps excitedly on your shoulder, up to the other shoulder, flutters back, kind of lands on your head, and in its own way, it communicates to you. Up on the top of the hill, there's a huge tree, but it's a weird tree. It seems to describe it as if it's running with color. And you're not quite sure what it's trying to say, but it's very excited. It seems to be eager to show you.
Okay, so you're saying safe? Good. Okay. How high up is it to get?
This hill rises about 20 feet and then seems to kind of begin to slope, but you can't see over the hill. It's very steep. And then the spring is at its base.
Is it unclimbably steep?
No.
Is it so steep that it would seem eerie for it to be like almost too good to be true?
No, it seems like it would probably be considered difficult terrain. It's not unnatural in its steepness. It's just like a big hill.
Okay, I'm gonna climb the hill.
Okay, yeah. You begin climbing the hill.
This cool tree that Doppio told me about.
Every now and then Doppio actually departs from your shoulder, up, like seems to look and then lands again, kind of hopping and excited. You begin to walk. What are the rest of you doing?
Following.
Okay.
following.
You turn, and Fizz, as you leave, you turn and you have one last look at the pond, unsure. There is something weird about it. There's something vaguely unnatural, but this whole place has been weird, and you kind of shrug and put it off as being another weird thing in a weird place. You walk up the hill. Perry, you first catch sight of this tree as it crests into view. You walk up this grassy hill, and the tree itself is almost like a tan bark in areas, but it seems to be almost like it drips paint from the top down. For those of you who have seen what is, I believe, called a rainbow eucalyptus tree, it is very similar. So streaks of almost watercolors going through the natural brown bark. It almost looks fake. Attached to it running the entire span. This is a massive tree. It goes at least 100 feet up. Running at least the height of the tree, you see a massive beehive. It's as tall as the tree itself. It's fused over the side rather than hung from a branch. And here and there's beautiful platforms carved from a similar rainbow eucalyptus wood, like balconies that seem to dot this hive. There are wooden doorways or frames that are sized for pixies, about a foot, maybe 2 feet tall. There is no buzzing. There are no bees. And neither are there pixies. Save one. He doesn't fly, Perry, but he kind of seems to stagger drunkenly as he descends the hill. Or doesn't descend the hill, but begins to walk towards the hill that you are now rising up. Falls once, flat on its face. Begins to crawl back up again. The pressure seems to be almost too much, that the legs are very wobbly. Pulls himself up to his feet, and as he does, you hear a loud snap as the leg breaks. But he still continues to walk, maybe about 30 feet away. What do you want to do?
Are you okay there? Hey!
You see behind these, formerly, on the other one that you saw, these gossamer wings that are shiny and almost like bits of silver fabric. These ones are shredded. You can see portions of skin missing, little bits of bone. And everywhere across the entirety of this, you see brown toadstools, larger than the ones you saw on the bees.
Uh-oh.
Closes within 20 feet.
Is he... So he's not stopping, he's not saying anything?
No,
Can I...
one black eye and one ruptured eye, elements of skull and flesh, just gazing through you, but it is certainly coming towards you.
Alright, I gotta put this dude out of his misery. I'm gonna go ahead and knock an arrow and fire it at this pixie, I think.
You knock an arrow, you release, make an attack roll.
That is a 22.
It hits it right in the skull. You see the head jerk back and it staggers a foot. The arrow, this is a foot tall pixie. The arrow is almost half the length of its body. You just hear this slumps down. The arrow cracks with the impact as it hits the ground. The body kind of has to twirl around because the arrow holds it up for a second, and the momentum has it slide down the length of the shaft. The arrow actually going through the head. It's dead. Comes to a rest finally, and you hear the final bit of air leave its mouth.
I'm gonna turn behind me to Shay and be like, something's wrong here.
Yes. Perhaps we should move on?
This is definitely not where we're supposed to be. So...
This is also the first sign of water we've had. So, like, reflecting ponds, water.
I mean...
Should we at least check out the hive?
The hive is probably the source of whatever happened to this poor sap.
I'm not hearing a no, so is that a yes?
I will say no.
It took you
I'm
a
glad that
really
you're the
long
one
time.
to say it, because I really didn't want to. But
Probably
You do
not
remember
smart.
the Master Solano said to put the small folks' mind at ease, and looking up at this structure, the multiple balconies, the various doorways, this is probably where they hail from. It is large enough, you would imagine, to support a community of those pixies, each only about a foot tall. This tree and the hive itself spanning hundreds of feet up, or 100 feet up, give or take. Probably support, like a small town. More of a hamlet.
Is the pond within distance of where we're standing? Can I see the pond from where I am?
You turn around and maybe 30 feet away, 20 feet down the hill and 10 feet away is that little pond.
Can I throw the dead pixie into the pond?
Sure. You take this pixie, just cut little bits of these toadstools are now crumbling off. Make a athletics check.
Oh,
19.
don't pick up the body.
19.
Oh.
And so as you say, don't pick up the body, you watch as this Genasi just yeets it off the hillside. You watch it tumble and sploosh into the water, beautiful and tranquil once again after having initially been disturbed, just splashes everywhere. Um,
The mind's at
Does
ease.
it fix the? It's gonna fix it. It's gonna
Go ahead and for me roll a D100, please.
Is that one of
Oh man.
It's 2 of those.
Oh, I've got 2. Okay. You can't see them because I've got my brightness up real far. Okay, I've got a 50 and a 30.
Which one is the... Okay, so 53. Splashes into the spring. And all of a sudden, the water, which was beautifully clear, aside from the fact that it's frothy and rippling from this creature entering it, begins to glow a faint gold. You can actually hear from below, almost like this single pure note ring out. And suddenly you can see the water begin to bubble and a creature emerges, no longer a pixie, but a very confused looking half-elf. And you realize this is a pond of reincarnation.
I
You can
fixed it,
see-
you guys.
The half-elf looks up. You can see, so she, completely naked, is standing waist-high water now. Long blonde hair that traces down to the back. You can see the eyes, almost like a shade of violet, looking up at you. She looks around. I'm alive. And you can see her chest like heave out as if to take flight, and she falls straight forward into the pond. Splash. You can
Now-
see she drags herself out, coughing. What are you guys doing?
It's
This
not
is
that
the
they're
excitement
dead.
that I came
It's
for.
that they're just shrunk. We just need to unshrink them all.
No, you just. Did you? You don't even know what. Just.
Yeah, they're just tiny people, and now they're like still tiny, but
Oh.
like they went from 1 foot to 3 feet. That's an improvement in my book. I'm killing it, guys. Oh, you're so grateful.
You can see this half elf now coughing and hacking up water, spitting it into the grass.
I guess I'll go introduce myself to the half elf. And I have no clothes to give, so she's gonna stay naked.
Okay, so you lumber over to this half elf who is hands and knees on the ground, one last spit of water. She puts hands on her legs and, like, with some effort, still coughing, hoists herself up to a standing position. She looks over her shoulder. She's just naked and wet in front of you, but like looking for wings. Where are they?
Oh, jeez.
So you were dead, but now you're not. I'm Fizz Catastrophe Embergale, and it is so nice to meet you.
You said your name was Fizz Catastrophe. And she looks down, and her hands go to her face, and then to her body. And you can see in this kind of the skin is like this almost alabaster. It suddenly flushes red. A hand goes across. She attempts to preserve her modesty. Is anybody trying to help her in any way?
I have a disguise kit. Does that include a cloak?
Roll a d20
I've got a bed roll that I can give her like a blanket from.
It's got a bow tie. You have a blanket? Yeah, so you take a blanket out of your kit. You what do?
I'm gonna like hand it to her, be like, so
Thank you. And she takes it and kind
here,
of wraps herself up a little bit.
just through, I guess, the spore-addled body of a pixie, by my estimation. And
I'm a pixie.
no,
You're
see,
the
that's
pixie, you're
where
right.
you're wrong. After you came, you being not the pixie, as the pixie went into that pool, came back out not as a pixie.
The pool. Of
You
course.
are a half elf now.
Yes. Oh, I've used. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how
You're
what happened
welcome.
came to be. Um, she kind of like is shifting this sort of makeshift towel around uncomfortably. You can see she pulls it up and is like looking at her legs. I am much taller now. Um,
You live right there in the hive,
she turns. Yes, I live in Sun Honey. That is our
and
town.
you never
Although
checked out the pool that was.
no, this is a pool of resurrection. It only works once, and so for us, we tend to avoid it unless it is needed. Or there are some of us who are born in ways that we feel not quite correct, and it is a chance to potentially put that right.
Well,
Um,
you used up your one. Just
I
keep
know,
that.
but this is what it is for.
Yeah, you were
Situations
dead.
such as this.
Killing it,
Uh,
guys. Killing it.
Thank you very much. Could you please
Thank
the rest?
me. I shot you.
What? And you can see
Well,
her hands go, and she pulls down part of this, and you can actually see now healed over, but this scar tissue where that arrow was. You'd imagine the piece is still in the water somewhere, but you can see she touches it and kind of pulls the towel, makeshift towel, back up.
yeah, you had been taken over by spores, mindlessly shambling towards
Um,
me.
It was the mushroom
My-
people.
The mushroom people, right?
Yes, the myconids.
Hmm. So
Typically, they live in this beautiful section of the forest that uh, they normally don't come this far. They're not evil, but they do have side effects.
Like-
Oh dear.
turning you into a shambling, spore-infested mound.
Well, no, I must have died a different way. But the spores, they can reanimate
Okay.
bodies. They can do many things. They can cause madness. They can put you into a state of delusion, sometimes permanently.
Like this one.
Turn.
I take offense to that. I saved
No.
this person's life.
Thank you very much for saving me. I don't remember, but I do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I obviously do not have anything to offer you, but if you could help my people, I do have a house and belongings there, and I would be happy to give you anything.
Well, it's not really up to me. I'm just here for the ride, as it were.
You
But,
took a ride to the Feywild.
Well, came for some excitement, so here we are in the Feywild.
Do you live here? Your accent is strange.
Not now, no. Not anymore.
And what about you? She turns to you, Fizz.
No, I don't live here. I don't really live anywhere right now, so I kind of signed up for a free field trip. But I'm so happy to be here. You're
So is
welcome.
this just all manner of people from across the Feywild now converging? I mean, more people are from the Amber Kingdom, and from where now?
She's the one that we're here with, I guess. If you're
Chaperoning. Where's her chaperones?
She
it's
turns
like-
and looks at you, Shay, the youngest of this group.
So her people have a custom. They go out into the Frostline. You familiar with the Frostline?
I'm not.
It's an area north of.
South now.
We
From the
ended
Court
up.
of Winter's territory.
Yeah, so we ended up here from there.
That's
Because
how traveling tends to work.
Her people go towards into the woods and mixes with the Feywild. So
Well, you aren't from here. And she turns and kind of walks up to you, Shay. She's a little taller than you.
I'm not.
She peers down curiously. You are so very interesting. You're from the material plane.
Yes.
But you are not quite human.
No.
Well, I could help you get back. If he kind of looks at the other two of you. I can't tell if this is a trip or if you have wandered here by happenstance.
We're looking
But-
for the reflecting pools. Do Do you know where those are?
Reflecting pools.
Or hot springs?
are-
Either one will do.
Hot springs. There are the singing pools, which are nearby, and they are hot springs and a beautiful place.
That is where
Well
we're
protected,
that's-
hard to get to. I don't know that any of you would be able to make it there normally, but I could help you get there. Again, she looks back at this now silent hive and this beautiful tree. Could you help my people?
We've already got somebody on it. Yeah. Already done. Check, check.
I
Well,
Check, check.
Who?
it's up to you, Shay.
I
It's your tribe.
do feel it is fair, though I am torn, for we have another member who was injured and we had to leave behind.
Well, if you could rescue the queen, I think she would be more than capable of helping your friend, even if it would require the use of the pool.
Oh, that's true. We just found a pool of resurrection, so he'll be fine. Roland doesn't need. Maybe he'll come back as like a goat or something.
Wait, does that work?
It doesn't quite work like that. You'll be still a humanoid of some form, I would assume. I've never seen anything otherwise.
Still,
Maybe he'll be like a pretty foxy lady.
the circle of life continues.
Well, you don't need to be dead to go to use the pond.
Well, but Roland will probably come dead if he comes. He's fine right now, probably.
Okay. So,
I feel it is fair. We will help your people if you will help us.
we will. I'm limited in what I can do now. I've already, well, and you can see she holds up a hand at you, Shay, and she kind of points and nothing happens, and she points again. Well, I am no longer a pixie, so I fear I do not have the abilities that I'm used to, but my people will.
And are the people in the hive? It's kind of quiet.
I hope so. Some of these spores do not do harm. They just put you into a state. Oh dear, what day is it? You wouldn't
What
know.
day
You're not from here, so time passes differently in the Feywild. So whatever it is where you are all from, it is different. But I do not know how long I've been in this state. If the pool worked, then it's less than 10 days.
Okay.
But that does mean if there are my kind and they are under the spell of these things, I'm sure they're quite withered at this point. They haven't eaten or drinking in that time.
Okay, so you're saying there's a bit of haste to the situation.
It would be good, yes, if you wouldn't mind. I'm also...
Well,
So,
The bird perks
is
up.
there multiple? What's your name? I'm sorry, my friend. Little half.
Half elf,
half
it
elf.
appears.
Sorry.
My name is Tamari.
Tamari, is there other hives nearby? Or is this the like?
No, Sun Honey is our village, and then there are other groups of pixies here and there. There is the Mithril Gardens, and there's a very large variety. But in this area, we call this home.
Did you happen to lose your bee maybe sometime within the last 10 days? Like some lady clicked it away, or?
I don't have a bee. We share bees, typically. To steal a bee and call it your own would probably have you removed from Sun Honey. So, no.
Oh,
It's-
okay, just wondering, just curious, just for no reason at all.
Well, the bees are very important to our survival and a way of life. I mean, and she gestures. They built the hive, and we've managed to create a relationship with them that allows us to live in harmony, and we can ride them. They provide food for us, and in return, we can provide the agricultural power to create the fields that are a little bit further north that they can harvest pollen from and continue the cycle. So I hope they're not harmed.
No, of course not. Bummer if something would have done that.
Okay. Just kind of nods.
Tamari, what can you tell us about what has happened? Do you remember? Do you know?
I don't remember much, but the person to go to would be the queen. And very easy to get to. Just proceed straight through the doors that look like honeycombs almost. I will warn you, it is not built for people your size. People our size. Most of the ceilings, except for the main chamber, are perhaps 4 or 5 feet tall. But walking straight through the main chamber, if you descend the stairs that you will be able to fit in, looks at all of you. Are any of you above 6 feet tall?
No.
I don't
All
know my
of you
height.
will be able to fit down. Once you get into the chamber, the throne room itself, the ceilings are about 6 feet tall, which for us is vaulted and quite ornate, but for you would be difficult to maneuver in. So just take care. But
Right.
the mushroom people, if they are still in there, are quite dangerous if cornered. They are not traditionally malevolent, so it is troubling that they have done this, but you had something to say. I'm sorry, I'm Tamari. And
Pericola.
Fizz.
Pericola. Fizz. Okay.
Fizz. It's just Fizz, just the short part. It's like a nickname.
Fizz. Okay.
You can say
Sure.
Fizz if that makes you more comfortable.
It does not. So Fizz. And then you, girl from the material plane.
I am Shay.
Well, for all of you, I am so happy that you have come to this place. Please help.
Well, I guess lead the way.
It was a very cute cat sound. It was
very
adorable. It like broke my heart a little bit. You guys begin to move. She leads. Are you guys following Shay, Fizz, Pericola?
Yeah.
Okay. You approach this village, this tree that you know now to be called Sun Honey. You hang on one second, let me get to that place. I lost So walking up, the doorway itself is hexagonal, almost like a half of a honeycomb itself, rising up and then to a flat arch. There are 2 doorways, and you would imagine to a pixie these would be grand, 6 feet tall doors. For you, it is like 2 incredibly narrow doors that you open to create one regular sized one. You see she walks in. You can see as she enters, she takes a deep breath, looking about. She almost loses grasp on the towel, but manages to grab it. As you enter one by one, you enter into this massive single chamber. Years later, Shay, you, upon seeing Kulturam, might even see, although probably not because this is so much smaller in scale.
Mm-hmm.
But there are elements that are reminiscent of Kulturam. You can see not platforms, but almost like separate hives that have been built out, and then there are doorways of wood and then walls of wood in places. It's almost like a hybrid between organic and built. On either side of you, structures rise up. Wooden doors, pixie size, maybe 1.5 feet tall, 2 feet tall, many closed. You stand at the 3rd level of buildings at most of your height. You're like 3 floors up in this city. So looking down, not city but town, there are dozens of structures below you. There are some at your height. Each building seems to be like a small hive in and of itself, with little bits of wood that have been embellished to create beautiful. This is basically a hive of lumber and honeycomb. And these hives are like teardrop shapes that abruptly meet the ground before they can reach the rounded bottom. It's a town for pixies. I would imagine at a quick glance about 200 would live here. The ground is littered with small balls of fuzz, and especially you, Fizz, recognize that there are hundreds of dead bees just littering this place.
Is there the pixie that I flicked at anywhere nearby? Well, maybe
Make a
not
perception
yet.
check.
I'm keeping an eye out for that specific pixie.
Sure, make a perception check. You can see all of these rodents. They look almost like tiny little rodents wearing capes, but as you move and shift, these are, again, the species of bee. None of you would know this, but they are Goliath bees that are native to this place. What was your perception check?
13.
13? That is what you see. They seem dead. Here and there, as your eyes adjust to the light, and those of you with dark vision, you see very quickly, pixies lay. The closest one maybe 10 feet away. On his or her back, hard to tell, very thin. You can see the clothing kind of hanging on him. But even in the darkness, you can see a gentle rise and fall, shallow breaths. What do you guys want to do?
Can I start picking up any breathing pixies in like my hands, like all of them? Like, how many pixies can I carry?
So with the 13, you look around and you see dozens of these little bodies. You walk over to the first, and you would imagine each being only about a foot tall, you could probably carry a good amount of them. But you bend down over this first one. Huh?
Just like a big bundle of balls are just carrying around, but they're
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go over the pool and just.
just a bunch of
That's the
limp
goal. If I can
Okay,
carry
so
them
you-
all to the pool.
pixies.
Okay, so you begin to collect pixie bodies. The first one that you go to pick up, though, you kind of pause because it's weird. The lights that come from its eyes, it is not dead. You can see the kind of shallow breath. The eyes seem to be flashing almost multiple colors, like a thin film across the iris and the pupil themselves. Like a spectrum of colors that seem to slide across, hazy purple, coppery orange. These pixies, as you bend down over the first one, they're withered, malnourished, dehydrated. You can see the lips kind of curling away from the teeth, but alive yet, almost caught in this permanent dream. You can see at the edges of the mouth, the eyes, the nose, the ears, this pink lichen that are kind of growing out. You can see they shift to a bright orange as you move, almost like mood rings and colors. They seem to shift. Do you pick that one up?
Yeah, that was my intention. There's nothing about that that would tell me danger.
Sure.
I will
You
pick
pick it up. Bits of the lichen break away, very limp in your hands, but breathing. You pick that one up. You go over to the next similar condition. You pick that one up. You discover you can carry about 5 of these creatures. They're heavy. Like 5 of them is heavy, but you can carry 5.
I will hold 5 in my hands.
Okay. Roll a d6 for me, just real quick.
Sure.
I'm
I
gonna
rolled
ask.
a 1.
Oh boy.
Okay.
One.
That's not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah,
Well-
I don't know. Roll the 1.
So of these, they're all similarly kind of in this strange dream state, perhaps. Except one of them, every now and then, you can see the nose just kind of wrinkle a little bit, and you actually hear it's a male, this pixie, just kind of go, ugh. But you take 5 of these pixies. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna ask Tamari, like, is there a source that we need to destroy, or
You
Are
said something
these-
about finding the queen.
If you, yes, if you can rescue the queen from whatever has befallen her, if she is dead or turned, bringing her to the pool. Although I do not know offhand if she has used it yet or not. But if we can restore her, she is capable of doing a number of things that would be very helpful to us.
I like that.
She's that way, and she points, and you follow the finger. It goes past 2 buildings. You can see one looks like probably it was like almost looks to maybe be like a bar at some point, perhaps. It's again very tiny. You'd have to bend down to like look into the windows of it. You see on the other side there is what looks like another little shop, and then all the way through, following the trace of her finger, you can see large live wood archways that rise up like an awning of pale pink flowers that grow off the top of it. you can see they lead to large porcelain steps. They appear to be made of actual porcelain. You cannot see the bottom, but they descend. They are maybe 15 feet wide, and they just go down.
Okay.
The throne room is that way.
Are the myconids a fey creature?
Are you asking her?
No, I'm asking Joe.
Make a nature check.
Joe, may I do an insight check to see if she's leading us into a trap?
So the way that you would do that in our game is you would say, do I believe her? Do I sense that she is suspicious or leading us into a trap? Make an insight check, yeah.
Yeah, is there a malicious intent behind her nonsense?
Make an insight check.
My nature check was a 21.
21. You don't know if they're fey or not, if they're natural to this place or not, but you would guess, based on the description, probably a plant.
Okay. But the pixies are fey.
Yes.
I'm going to use my favorite enemy, being pixies, to try and track this queen.
Okay, yeah, sure. Make a survival check. What was your
11.
11? Okay. It's hard to tell. I mean, you get the sense that she's not really used to making expressions with this new face. And so, like, every now and then, like, an eye twitches, or, I mean, you remember the first time where she puffed her chest out, like, you know, water splashing off, trying to fly, and she face planted into the water. She's not used to this body. Very hard to tell how honest she's being.
That was a 26.
With a 26, you kind of bend down. You can feel the bird walk across your shoulders and perch up on the other one. Difficult to track a pixie that flies. But again, you know that the throne room is down these stairs. You don't get the sense that it would make much sense for her to be elsewhere. There are a lot of pixies. You get this whole place is habitated by at least 100 of them. You see tracks everywhere. You don't see anything that would lead you to believe that she is not down there.
Okay.
Going down the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Shay begins to walk.
Here's get my
Perry
bow.
begins to walk. With an armload of pixies, Fizz walks as well. So Shay, Perry, roll in pixies. Or sorry, Fizz pixies. You walk, and as you reach the stairs, you look down, and they are like bone white, and they appear to be made. They're like 50 feet down. They just descend down and down and down, and although they appear to be brittle, you can actually see like little tiny chips here and there, almost as if they're made out of china. You realize after a couple of them, it's by design. The edge of each has faint green patterning that when you get close, you can see is like a honeycomb pattern with gold leaf bees around it. So as you walk, any elements of light kind of cause this metallic glitter. And as you take the first step, Shay, onto that stair, suddenly the non-gold stripes on the bees emit this faint yellow light, and you can actually see the stair better. And as you walk, each stair just lights, and it just progressively gets lighter as you walk. At the bottom, there is a short 5-foot stretch of hallway to a 25-foot across wall. Seems to be natural stone that's been smoothed and worked to be a beautiful gray finish with just slight mottlings of color and bits of mica that are in it. And there's a single grand 4-foot tall double doorway. It doesn't appear to be locked. There's no knob or handle, so you would imagine you could just push it open.
Pushing it open.
Okay, Shay, you have to bend down to push it open and step through. But as you open it up, it leads to a throne room. A tiny space for people, but towering 100-foot tall ceilings. These go up to what you would imagine are the top of this hive structure. At the very end of the room, there's a large staircase that rises 20 feet up and then breaks apart, branching in either direction before rejoining the base of the throne. There are fences on either side that lead up to the throne. You would imagine where maybe people were kept to either ask questions or witness events or ceremonies. And all down the floor, there's a carpet of grass and flowers. I would say everybody go ahead and make a perception check.
19.
19?
5.
Okay. 13. Fizz, the beauty of this place overtakes you. You haven't been to a place like this. There's flowers actually growing out of the wall. You can see here and there, woven into the actual honeycomb-like structure, there are what look like tree branches growing out, and little tiny green leaves that are beginning to bud out of the branches themselves. You can see all manner of wildflowers that grow across the grass here, and actually the fences themselves have living vines that grow from out of the wall and then wrap the railings in these leafy tendrils. It's hard to really focus. It's a beautiful place. For the rest of you, what you see is this. If somebody wants to post that in Twitch chat, that would be great. You can see the grass that grows along most of this. You can see wooden floorboards in the sections meant to hold people. Matt, Tina, you see on the left-hand side, that holding area where there are people, there are slumped over a number of bodies, 3 of them. What do you want to do?
Those are the only bodies in the room.
As far as you can tell.
Go
What was your perception check?
19.
13, Matt?
Mine was a 13.
13? Yeah, that's what you see.
Okay. Going over to the bodies.
Yeah, I'll follow. Go over, check out these bodies.
Okay.
See which one's the queen.
And what about you, Fizz? Kind of taking in this room. You see your
Can I
two
pick some
companions.
wildflowers and weave them through my, I got some braids, kind of
Sure.
making a mohawk-y?
You walk to the nearest flower. You guys all hear pixies drop onto the ground.
It
As
would
you
be
bend
gentle.
down, drop pixies onto the ground. And you pick one flower and then another, and you begin to create a little bouquet, and you kind of put them into the hair. And make a performance check, or a sleight of hand check. This would be
Are you sure it's not performance? Because I'm
pretty
proficient at that.
pretty sure, yeah.
Alright,
It's a little work.
16.
Okay, so you begin to weave this crown of wildflowers. While you're doing this, Shay, Perry, you walk over. Perry, you already feel this bird kind of like getting behind your head and out of vision. It doesn't like these bodies. And as you draw close, you see 2 pixies. They're wearing what look like, it's like this beautiful, glistening, some kind of an insectoid carapace armor. You can actually see one of them still has a shield that's attached to the arm, and it has 4 bee stingers coming out of it, as if it could be used as like a spike to poke things with. Both of them covered in these toadstools. Behind them, the third body, beautiful, elegant robes. You can see at one point this probably faintly green skin, but it is the body, and you can actually now see with mushrooms growing through it, this very, very elegant and tiny and fragile tiara. Bits of the metal split under even just the mushrooms growing on it. And as you look at that, this beautiful glimmering tiara, there are rubies that are set into it, and you can see it's designed to look like tree branches that come around with flowers just spreading out in each of the rubies. The head just snap and look forward at you, and I need everybody to roll initiative. This is going to, hang on one sec. Get some stuff up here for music and sounds.
Initiative.
There's so many sound effects on this board. Okay.
It's kind of
Okay.
nice that the pixies just like, oh, you got stripped by something, toss yourself into the pond.
They rolled real good.
Free do-over.
Although they're getting negatives to their initiative rolls, so.
Oh wow, that's
Good.
gonna be especially bad for them because got a natural 20.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
All right, 25 to 20. 23 for Shay. All right, hang on, I got to redo this board now. So,
Shay got a 17.
all right, what'd you get?
I got 16.
16. All right, not bad, guys. Overall, can't complain.
Alrighty.
16. Okay. Thanks to their negative, actually, you moved up one slot over them. So that is going to be Perry, followed by Shay, followed by the Queen, followed by Fizz, and then we'll go from there. So, Perry, what would you like to do? Shay, you're on deck.
I guess I'm going to try.
So at the moment, just for a reference, you are standing, if you look at the map, right where the grass meets the wood on the left-hand side. You are standing on the tile that has that tiny little flower in the upper left-hand corner. The bodies are kind of lumped into these 3 squares in front of that branch coming from the wall, and then directly in front of you.
Okay, so they're kind of like 10 feet away.
One's within 5 feet, 2 are within 10.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So I guess I'm going to, as a bonus action, cast Zephyr Strike.
Zephyr Strike, okay.
So, what that does is, until the spell ends, its concentration up to a minute. My movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks, and once the spell ends, I can give myself advantage on 1 weapon attack roll, and that attack deals an extra D8 of force damage.
And how long does the spell last?
Up to a minute.
Up to a minute, okay. So.
Oh, and then when I choose to use that extra attack, my walking speed increases by 30 feet until the end of that turn.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. So, how does it look when you cast it?
Pretty much like I'm airbending now.
Okay. So, as you watch,
When
Perry begins to make these fluid motions that look almost as if the arms become extensions of the clothing, and in and of themselves caught in the wind, catching these currents. And all of a sudden, you see the feathers on Matt's bird or on Perry's bird begin to like shift with this intensifying wind.
And I'm gonna jump back 10 feet so that I'm at like a good shooting range, and I'm going to fire an arrow.
Technically, unless that spell does something for attacks of opportunity, you will be provoking 1.
It's so for up to a minute until the spell ends, your movement doesn't provoke opportunity.
As you like dart back as part of the spell, the wind pulling you away, you can see one of the soldiers on the bottom like reach out with this tiny little hand, this tiny zombified hand, and just grasp at the air. But yeah, no problem. You're 10 feet back and you fire?
Yep.
Make your attack.
That is a 24.
And it's ranged attack at a prone target. I want to say that it is... I want to say that's a disadvantage, so that's just a flat roll. It should be.
Well, I can choose when I use the advantage attack roll. So.
Okay, so you can choose to use it at disadvantage then if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to use this one at disadvantage.
Okay.
Ooh, nice. It's still a 24.
Yeah, that hits. You can roll damage.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Nice, full damage. That's 12 points of piercing.
Nice. So you watch Perry, suddenly the hair shifting in the wind, the eyes seem to blaze behind with this backlit glow. You take this arrow, you fire, and it's a hard shot. You're firing through vines and fence and at this target that is down, presenting a very slim profile, but the arrow goes through one of the leaves of the vines underneath the wooden banister, and it strikes this creature right in the neck. As it reaches out with this tiny hand and like strikes the air to grasp you, the arrow hits it in the neck, and you can see the head just snap and hit the wall behind it and fall. This thing's dead.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have Doppio go and attack the other pixie guard, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, let's see, I haven't actually just done a full-on attack with Doppio yet, so plus 4 to hit. That's a 7 to hit.
Point in fact, this is at advantage because this is a melee attack against a thrown opponent.
Nice. Doppio's pecking his eyes out. That's a 17.
That hits. Roll damage for Doppio, the songbird.
Let's see.
Combat songbird. He's a bard.
I don't think I need to roll damage. I think it's just 1 piercing damage.
Oh, okay. So you can see Doppio and just pecks it once and then flies back to your shoulder. That is your turn. That brings us to Shay.
They're right in front of me.
So you see this air genasi take the arrow out, just move away, and in one motion as this creature grabs for him, just put this pixie down. Pixie drops dead. You can see another one 10 feet back, and then just a little bit next to that one, what looks like dressed in queen-like garb, a third.
I guess I'll go for the closest one.
Okay, so the other one that looks kind of like a guard wearing this, what looks like a carapace armor and this spiky shield.
That's gonna be... Oh, this is an adjustment 24?
24 hits, roll damage.
For 8.
8. Yeah. So you... Yeah, so this... what is this, your staff?
No, because I gave my staff away. This is my either fist or foot, whichever is easiest.
Probably foot. So you, in a single motion, leap the banister that Matt shot under, and you land with one leg, the other spinning already around, using all the momentum of the jump. You dig your heel into a dead pixie. You feel bones crush underneath the force. The pixie staggers, it slams into the wall and rebounds in the same space. Looks pretty hurt.
Cool, he's getting another, because...
Go for it.
That is 22.
22, yeah. Roll damage on that.
For another 8. Crushing it tonight, jeez.
So as it like rebounds from the wall, you can hear this kind of you bring your elbow up and slam into the chin. Again, this pixie's head separates from the body. Spores go everywhere. You see little toadstools hitting the ground. It's dead.
I hope that gets fixed when he resurrects.
Baby.
Shay, anything else?
Maybe like a 5-foot step back, like almost trying to emulate the Genasi a little bit, but...
Okay. Yeah, you jump back. Your motion's just as fluid and just as air-like as the Genasi's. But the two of you now back up. There's 10 feet between the two of you and this final corpse. Anything else on your turn?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. This final corpse lurches to its feet. You can see formerly probably this beautiful face. Again, this pixie only about a foot tall, so you're looking down, but it looks up, the muscles and face slack. You can see the teeth kind of jutting out. It steps forwards towards you, Perry, and it's going to take a swipe at you with its fists. That is going to be a 19 to hit.
Oh, jeez.
That's a really high roll.
So, is this pixie still classified as Fey, or is it
You don't know.
now Myconid?
You do not know.
Well, in terms of, does my favorite enemy take effect in this situation against this?
For what reason?
Oh, I guess never mind. It doesn't do anything. Favorite enemy doesn't
Yep.
actually affect
That's what he
any
doing.
combat. Okay. Then yeah, I guess that's gonna hit. That's a beefy
You
pixie
take
hit.
1 point of bludgeoning damage as this tiny fist impacts right underneath your kneecap. It
Oh,
hits the bone in such a way that like your leg goes a little numb and it's very unpleasant. But this is a very small creature that is punching you. You hear from its body this tiny escape as it like is striking at you. That is its turn. Fizz, what do you want to do?
Can I pick it up like two-handed with its hands clasped at its sides the way you would pick up like a chicken?
So this is a grapple. So make this is a competing athletics checks. You can roll at advantages that you are size class above it.
Great. I got an 18. Is this a strength check or sorry,
It's an
acrobatics? So
competing athletics check.
plus 3 is 21.
Okay, no problem. So you can see as it's making this little sound, it like punches Matt once, kind of backs away a little bit, and as it goes in again, with two hands, you just like scoop it, pinning its arms to the side, and just pick it up. The little legs still kind of as if they're trying to walk forwards. You can see the mouth open up, and it's again like.
I'm going to use my movement to go towards the door, and every subsequent movement is going to be, or every subsequent turn is going to be a dash and a movement to the
Okay.
pond.
So you take your full 30 feet of movement towards the door. You actually forwards, grab it, walking back. Hang on one sec here. So you can actually get out the door 10, 20, 25, and into like the little narrow 5-foot hallway, and the stairs are right in front of you. So that's just this turn.
Yep.
It is now. Okay, so for all of you, the highest of whom rolled a 19 perception check. For the first time, I would say, given where you guys are, Shay, you feel these little things pelt you in the shoulder, and you look up, standing 90 degrees as if they're walking down the wall. 5 feet tall, this large mushroom-looking humanoid. You can see the head rises in a dark brown crest of crumbling fungi. You can see the eyes glowing yellow in the space. You can see every step that it takes, little elements of it break off and stay attached to the wall, and begin to puff up almost like puffballs. It is going to drop down right in front of you, Shay.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to loom up as much as it can, like it's still not quite as tall as you, but in front of you, and you watch as elements of it, these little puffball mushrooms, burst out, and I need you to go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, it's right.
15?
15. You can feel the spore settle across your skin, and where it touches, it goes numb, but you react quickly, just swirling around and back up out of the range of these spores that don't seem to affect you. But it is going to make an attack against you.
Of course.
That is going to be a 10 to hit.
No! Haha!
So, that is its turn. Okay, so going up to the top of the order, that is going to bring us to a layer action. You watch as the little puffballs on the wall suddenly. Actually, not bad. You watch as they settle onto the ground, some of them striking these various broken pixie bodies, and one of them, you can see, without the head attached, elements of these spores settle onto it and suddenly seem to seep and sink into it. And little toadstools pop up, and without a head, it lurches upright. One of these corpses, headless, is now back in the game. That brings us to Perry. Shay, you're on deck.
All right. I am going to use the advantage Zephyr Strike on this thing that just fell onto the ground here.
Sure, yeah, go for it. Like your
This
attack.
is the enemy that has caused all of this. Ooh! I don't even need to roll the second one. That was a natural 20.
Okay, yeah, natural 20. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
Crushing it.
All right. That is 6 and 2 plus 4. So 12 total.
12 total. Okay. So you using your Zephyr Strike.
Plus the 1/8. Oh, plus another 6.
Okay. Was that a dice roll though?
Yeah, it was
That
the
doubled.
It's a double.
plus 1d8. Oh, okay, so never mind. It was 12, but the first roll was a 6 plus. Yeah. So the first roll was a 6 on the die.
So that's 12 damage for the
second
dice.
roll was 2 plus the 4 for my dex makes 12.
That's not how that works. You are doing a grand total, if I'm doing my math correct, of 19 damage. Because you
sounds
double the
better.
total on the dice, and then you add the modifier.
Right. Okay, so yeah, it's 8 times 2 plus 4.
Yes, so 16 plus 4, so 20 points of damage total.
Okay.
Yeah, so this strike, as it lands, you can see it like lands, it looms up, these things off. They hit like different elements of Shay. You can see the ones on the wall begin to pop, and this other thing stagger up. And as you do, you deliver this Zephyr Strike. You hit it straight in the chest. You watch as elements of this mushroom cave in. It is soft and uncomfortably spongy and fleshy at the same time. And as you pull your hand away, it makes this horrible. But it looks like it hurts it.
All right.
Anything else on your turn?
I'm going to have Harry. I'm gonna.
What are you doing?
I think I'm gonna have Doppio use the help action
Okay.
by flying behind this creature out of its range and using its mimicry, if possible.
Okay, sure. Make a performance check. Your bird behind. You guys can see in this dark space, with everything happening, these very bright feathers.
Performance with the bird stats.
Yeah.
So that's 12.
Okay. As from behind, what sound are you trying to have it make?
I guess just like trying to mimic pixie noises and like the fluttering of pixie wings.
All of you hear as this bird behind, you can hear actual wings, which
well, that
perhaps sound like pixie wings, but you also hear this horrible, it is like it's trying to sound like pixie laughter, and so it's like this terribly like almost auto-tuned sort of like it's a haunting sound. But this creature does begin to turn in its direction. You would imagine you have caught its attention.
Okay.
That is your turn, Shay. What would you like to do?
Hitting it.
Go for it.
That's 25.
25 hits.
That's 8 points of damage.
All right.
And it's gonna take another hit. 21
21 hits.
or 6.
6. Okay. So you move into it. You strike once, again, where it's already kind of caved in. And every time you hit it, bits of this mushroomy flesh fly off. It spatters you. It's almost as if it becomes like a vapor. And you're beginning to smell this deep, almost in a really unpleasant way, kind of a like a sour, citrusy smell that's rising out of the loamy earth. Like what?
Like Gunther.
Like more like rotting oranges, so a little bit better than Gunter. But Shay, anything else?
I am going to back up 10 feet.
10 feet, okay. And that doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, correct?
It does not.
So you separate out, and then gone. That is your turn. Fizz, what would you like to do?
Is the queen gonna try and break her grapple, or is she just content to be hugged?
She, I do not believe, can break her grapple. So at the moment, she has no choice.
Okay. I would like to hearing the pixie noises. I'm gonna turn around and change my plans because all of a sudden things change and I have to be flexible.
Sure.
Without letting the grip go, can I cast Produce Flames at the myconoid?
What does it look like when you cast Produce Flames?
I'm gonna jut out with my elbow and like hit, and it'll
So-
like.
While holding this little pixie queen, the tiara dangling off of one ear as you've been like kind of like thrashing around, you still hear from inside of this little creature this kind of sound as it's trying to still attack you. You fling an elbow out and you can see those elements of magma ripple down and then burst forwards. Yeah, go ahead. What is it? Is it a dexterity saving throw?
No, it is. I have to make a spell attack.
Okay.
I don't know what my spell
On fire.
modifier is as a barbarian.
It's wisdom, I would imagine.
All right. So I got 13 plus 1 is 14 to hit.
14 to hit. That hits.
Okay, and then it is a 1d8 fire damage. Oops, hold on, I missed my tray. So that's 7 plus my wisdom modifier is 8 total fire damage to the myconoid.
Okay. This thing is starting to look a little hurt. As you like fling your elbow and this gout of fire goes, you can see the brown skin chars black. Bits of it kind of crackle away. It's looking kind of hurt.
Does it seem more effective that it's fire or no?
It seems about as effective as you would expect it to be.
Okay, then I'll use my movement to go back into the room because these guys apparently need me.
And so you turn around, still holding this zombified queen, Pixie. You run back into the room. You make it right back to behind where Shay and Perry are.
I heard you
That
struggling.
is-
I'm here to save you guys. Don't worry, okay?
The elbow is like smoking.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to the reanimated Pixie's turn. It you know what? It can't sense things, especially. You watch as it lumbers 1 foot towards you, Shay, and then seems to spin on its heel and it walks straight into a wall. It turns, rights itself, and comes towards you. It's going to make an attack at disadvantage as it cannot see you. That is going to be a 10 to hit.
Nope.
So easy enough as it just swipes forwards with one arm. You don't even need to duck. You take 1 step back and then 1 step forward. And that's all it takes. That is its turn. It is now the queen's turn. She can't do anything. Perry, what do you want to do? Shay, you're on deck.
I'm going to have.
Ooh, sorry. Lair action, because that's at the top of the round.
Yeah.
Okay. More of those little puffball mushrooms and spores settle down. You watch as the other myconoid with the head still missing similarly rises up, ready to fight again. There's not 2 of those. But go ahead, Perry.
I'm gonna go ahead and have Doppio fly around the myconid's range to use my help action with them.
Okay,
and
so you
then-
just spin the bird around almost as if it's like that cartoon dizzy animation.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna fire an arrow at it while it's distracted
Sure.
once again.
So yeah, I would say that grants you that.
Oh my god, another natural 20.
Fantastic. Roll damage on that.
Wow. This die is hot tonight.
Which die is that?
It's this purple guy.
Oh, I don't even recognize that one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's just one of my like random purple. Nice. That's 7 plus 4, so 14, so 18 total.
Okay. You pull out this arrow. You can see elements of it shard from the fire from Fizz's elbow. You can see parts on the middle. Like the middle is caved in a solid like foot. This thing is like almost crushed through. You can see bits of like the light from other parts of these glowing flowers and things through elements of the chest. But it's looking pretty hurt. That is your turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. the arrow itself clears straight through it. You can now see like a solid, almost 6-inch gap straight through this creature, but it's still coming. That is Perry's turn. Shay, what do you want to do? Fizz, you're on deck.
I'm gonna go over to Fizz and take the queen from her.
Okay.
I won't resist.
Okay, so you go over, you grab the queen, already grappled. You don't have to roll for it. This is a handoff, essentially.
And then I'm going to use my full movement and dash out toward the pool.
Okay, so it is this moment of Shay, you're running, and Fizz, you see this, and already kind of caught up, you just toss the pixie up, and it's one of these things where you toss it up, and she just gets trucked. Shay, you grab her and run. Already out the door, you use your full movement, which is 50 feet.
60.
Flicker.
60.
You get 60. You get about halfway up the staircase.
With the dash?
With the dash?
With the dash.
With the dash, you get halfway up the staircase. Dashing, you go all the other halfway up the staircase. You make it to the exit of this place. The honeycomb, the half honeycomb, double doorways loom large. The light beyond, much brighter than the darkness on the inside. Still that kind of crackling emerald light.
And I'm gonna spend a key point
Okay.
for step
Further, can you move with that?
up another 60 feet.
Another 60 feet. You dash, so you channel some of the inner energy and propel yourself even further, pushing the limits of your body currently. You go straight down the hill, and you actually, if you want, can go to the other side of this little spring.
I just want to get to the pool and like dunk her in.
Sure, no problem. You get to the pool and you just drop her. We'll get back to that.
And then if I have movement left over, start making my way back, but...
You can get 20 feet back up, so you get back up to the top of the hill.
Solid.
You basically get to the hill, chuck her over, and then turn and begin running back. But yeah, for Shay, no problem. Fizz, what do you want to do?
So understanding now in my intelligence, even though I can't say the word, I want to kick. Well, I guess my hands are free. I will pick up. Can I pick up both the pixies and chuck them out of the lair, out of the room?
You could try. How many attacks do you get in an attack action?
Well, I get one, but you can use one additional attack without your proficiency modifier.
So what I will say is you can make one athletics, competing athletics check for the first one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, which are...
14 plus 3 is 17.
Yeah, I rolled an 8. So you pick up the first one, and it's this, and it's just gone. You just see it just vanish, the wings rippling behind it. Go ahead and make another athletics check, but it's a flat roll, and then you add your strength modifier. So not an athletics check.
13.
13. You reach down, and with an iron grip, this pixie's hands shoot out, and they aren't able to grab on, but they're able to deflect your arm enough. It almost tumbles over. You're unable to grab it, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, rolled 19, so rolled 19.
Can I see what Tamara is doing? Is she supporting us, or is she being sketchy and scared, or what?
You would need an action to make a perception check, so you cannot tell in this moment. We can get back to that. Shay, Shay, what do you want to do? Or sorry. Fizz. No, sorry. So this mic in it is not looking great. What is its intelligence? Okay. Looking at all of you, you can see these glowing yellow eyes just kind of scan the room. They close in this almost squinting like motion, and suddenly you notice all of the mushrooms across its form begin to swell before they burst. And I need everybody within 15 feet, which is going to be Fizz and Perry. And actually, I need you to roll for your bird as well. These are Constitution saving throws.
Oh no, Doppio. Nice, okay. I'm good. How is Doppio? What is Doppio's
15.
15, okay.
Oh, thank God. That's a 16 for Doppio.
Okay.
It's not bad. And then I had I don't even. It was a base 18, so.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
And what was yours, Fizz?
15.
15?
10 plus 5.
So as these spores, and these you can see, they're rimmed with green. As they touch elements of the air, you can smell something caustic. Doppio manages to jet out of the way. You see them coming all towards you, Perry. It's about to settle across you, and suddenly the wind that is produced by your body naturally seems to swirl around and like just displace them onto the ground. Fizz, being a larger being and being kind of, ready and up front and already trying to grab and throw pixies, it settles across your form. You take 11 points of acid damage as these caustic spores settle across your skin, just beginning to burn, and where it corrodes into your skin, it's almost as if magma bubbles up and they kind of combine. There's a steam that's beginning to occur. It smells terrible. But that is what's going to do. It is going to attempt to move out of this door, which means
Leo gets an opportunity attack.
he does. So go ahead and make your opportunity attack.
Peck his eyes out. Oh,
Have I?
what was it? A +4 to hit last time, and also this time because it doesn't change.
I believe so. Yeah.
An 11.
An 11, unfortunately, that misses. You can see the bird just a little bit too hesitant to get in and get a really good peck at it, especially with all the acid still like oozing down the burst portions.
Doppio would get the final hit.
How does
Doesn't
the bird
seem
one
like
do
it. He
point.
moves his entire movement. I keep accidentally opening Overwatch, by the way. I gotta move my not a sponsor. We gotta move my icons around for next time. Okay, so moves its full movement 40 feet, which is going to get it to just. It's going to move 5 feet up on the staircase outside. You guys watch this mushroom book it. Surprisingly fast for a plant. Elements of the brown falling away. You can see bits of acid spattering off of it and burning and singeing into the flowers. You see a few flowers wither and die, but it's running. That is its turn. That brings us to initiative order 20. There are no corpses in the room in range.
Oh.
No, not in range. So nothing happens there. You see little puffs of these spores, but nothing happens. Perry, it is your turn. What would you like to do? Shay, you're on deck. You can see
How
now
far away?
about 30 feet away from you.
Oh, okay. So I still have a shot on him.
You have to move 10 feet over and into the middle of the grass, but now you can see the legs and part of the torso going up the steps.
I'm gonna get to the base of the steps so that I have a clear shot.
Okay, so you, with your 30 feet of movement, you'll end up 10 feet behind it. You, at where you are, you can see the full body. It is climbing up these porcelain steps. You can see the light coming from those little bees that glow as you stand on them, shining up and showing just all of this ichor running down this creature. But you can go ahead and make your attack if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Doppio fly after him to try and get him to stop so that I get the help action from
Sure.
him as well. Ooh, this is good that I got the help action because that was not a natural 20. But that was a 23.
A 23. Yeah, that hits. Roll for your damage. It's like the first not natural 20. Dude, this guy is a great archer, is Perry.
Yeah, he's got the skills with that bow. It's 10 damage.
10 damage? Tell us how it happens.
Nice. So I guess as this Myconid is running up the stairs, Doppio starts pecking at it and trying to get its attention. It turns around to swat at Doppio, and as it turns, just arrow through the I guess eye. eye mushroom.
So you watch Doppio alights on the broken crest of this mushroom and begins pecking at it. You can see it swats and swats, but Doppio's too fast. It turns, the wide eyes of this creature, for the first time, glowing in not a yellow rage, but more of a fear. And as it turns suddenly into one of the eyes, it goes completely dark as the arrow enters and exits the back. The entirety of the head splits and slowly peels down, and the creature falls forwards dead. And you guys are no longer in combat because you watch as these two sort of corpses shudder and then fall. The one that you had kind of thrown out the door falls. The one near you falls that had so fiercely stopped your hand with its tiny little ones.
That's my
And
new
for the
favorite.
moment, it seems to be very quiet in this space. You look around. There's still like the faint sizzle of acid in the ground. But for the moment, you guys feel pretty safe.
Shay would run back in, having no concept that it had died, and reach the top of the stairs and like, oh look, good job.
And as you get to the top of the stairs, you look down. You see one of these. You see that mushroom creature dead on the stairs. The head split open. It's kind of like slowly sliding down.
Tokyo's still perched on it, just like
Doppio's riding
Riding
it
it
down. And as it lands, I need Shay, you to roll a D100 for me.
what will the queen be now? From this
That's
resurrection,
a 10 and a 10. 10 and a...
it's another Myconid.
11.
10 and a 10, so it's an 11.
The 10 and the 0.
Suddenly, from the top of the stairs, Shay, behind you, you hear heavier footsteps than you would expect from a pixie queen. And as you turn, still wearing this beautiful silver tiara, somewhat dented, these ruby-encrusted metal flowers, stood adorned this bright shock of red hair. There is leaves and things like that that have been gathered in a bunch and held over his nether regions. But before you stands this wildly red-headed, long red hair, long red beard, Hilldwarf. You can see a little bit taller, a little bit thinner than others that you will meet in the future. But you can see a very pleased-looking former pixie queen. And because it is 12 o'clock, this is a perfect place for us to end. But congratulations, guys. There's actually a relatively happy ending to a one-shot. And everybody lived. That's never happened in a one-shot. So that's pretty great.
We killed.
Can I
Yeah.
ask Shay really quickly, like casually, like, so when you sign up for monks, like, is there like a celibacy thing, or you just sign a paper, like, what is it about?
No, none of that.
Why don't you go collect all of the bodies and start throwing them in the pool?
Roland, we should collect and throw him in a pool.
We should make it to the springs and let Master Solano know. He will be able to help.
Deal.
Okay.
And so, with
been
that very
exciting.
short epilogue, we have now come to the end of the Frostline as it is midnight. But for all of you who tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. Ari, thank you so much for joining us as a guest for the very first time, hopefully not the last time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So for those of you who are tuning in, we typically run at 8:30 p.m. Every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Adventures in Alberon, our original one-shot, or not one-shot, our original homebrew campaign. I've said this a million times, but at the end of a one-shot, it's difficult sometimes. Our original homebrew campaign set in the world of Alberon. Matt plays Gunter, a 287-year-old hill dwarf, who is a cleric of Cord and a troublesome old man.
Just that grumpy
Tina.
old-
Tina plays a 10 years older Shay, who, I will say, Shay, I did set up a little thing that you didn't get to, but could have potentially explained Shay's fascination with cake. but you know, maybe I'll have to figure out a different way for it to work. And
Pixies probably make good cakes.
they make really good cake.
Really good cakes.
Yeah. Yeah, the honey cake here is just absolutely amazing. But you, yeah, so follow us. We also have Allie, who plays Morwen the Tabaxi Rogue. We have Miles, who plays the Celestial Warlock Heinrich. And then the 10 years older Shay, who is significantly stronger and even more broken in our campaign.
It's true. It's like a natural 20 plus.
We have a lot of over 30s for perception checks, but we've been going for almost 2 years now. The Finger Gang, which your group has decided to call themselves despite multiple opportunities to rebrand. Your group has defeated a dragon. You guys are now taking your time discovering what to do next, but perhaps next week we will finally find out. But until then, it is a crazy world out there. Stay safe and have a great night. We'll see ya.
Bye.